Everything starts on a beautiful day in the city of Aldi, where grand architecture and horse-drawn carriages fill the bustling streets. Suddenly a girl with vibrant red hair pops up out of nowhere, looking relieved. She tells someone that she has finally found them at last. She grabs our boy by the arm and starts dragging him along, with an impatient look on her face. She is totally in a rush and tells him they need to get moving already. Another girl with long red hair and a blue bow joins in, with a sweet smile and folded hands. She is acting all innocent while telling him to hurry up and follow them. The scene shifts to a lively local tavern, filled with people enjoying their drinks. The atmosphere is warm and noisy. As the bartender serves up mugs of ale to the thirsty crowd, our protagonist is sitting at a wooden table trying to enjoy a quiet meal with some bread and juice. He looks pretty relaxed, just taking in the sights and sounds of the pub while he eats. But peace and quiet do not last long, because a girl in a nun-outfit suddenly approaches him. She leans in close and tells him he simply must come visit their estate right away. She has a gentle expression, but there is no mistaking the urgency in her voice as she clutches his sleeve. Our boy is just trying to finish his drink, while she practically begs him to come along. These gentle nuns won't leave him alone and keep pushing for his attention. He can feel their desperation hidden behind those sweet smiles. As they swarm around him, Ramai doesn't care about his personal space and demands that he play with her. Right now the pressure of all these girls clinging to him is becoming way too much for our boy to handle. Our boy is starting to feel the pressure as all these girls swarm him at once. He lets out a heavy sigh, wondering how he managed to get himself into this chaotic situation. Ramai is not taking no for an answer, and starts physically pulling him toward the door. She complains that she finally has free time, so he has to spend it playing with her today no matter what. A stylish girl in a hat steps in to mediate, while little Ramai continues her pouty tantrum until she gets her way. Our boy looks completely drained and overwhelmed by the constant attention. He is questioning his own life choices and wondering why he is even putting up with all this drama. That peaceful moment disappears instantly as the reality of his reincarnation finally sets in. He is no longer in his old life, but trapped in a world where he was originally just a side character. Suddenly, the bright dream is gone and we are deep in a dark and eerie forest. At night the trees are tall and casting long shadows, making the whole place feel super creepy. The darkness is thick and the moonlight barely manages to pierce through the dense canopy above. Something is definitely wrong here, and the vibe has shifted completely from that happy tavern. A rough-looking bandit with a bandana suddenly barks at a young man, calling him the new guy. This dude looks seriously mean and is clearly the one in charge of this operation. We finally see our protagonist, whose name is Kai, and he looks absolutely terrified. He turns around with a cold sweat running down his face, answering the bandit with a shaky voice. The bandit tells Kai that the rest of the crew is going to sleep, and he needs to keep a sharp lookout. He reminds Kai that he is getting a fat paycheck just for hauling luggage from the city of Wat. The guy leans in with a wicked grin and tells Kai to show the hostages some pain if they start making any noise. Our boy just nods along in fear, while the scumbag walks away to get some rest. Once he is alone, Kai clutches his head in total distress, trying to figure out how things ended up like this. He is panicking and has no idea what is going on, or why he is part of a bandit group. He starts remembering his past life and a horrific car accident that happened back in the real world. There was glass shattering and blood everywhere, and he realizes he probably died in that crash. He wakes up in a cold sweat, trying to piece together his new identity and how he got here. The confusion of being thrown into this dark fantasy setting starts to weigh heavy on his mind. Suddenly it clicks, and he realizes this world looks exactly like a game called Fancy Roomy Fantasy. He is shocked to find himself inside the world of his favorite game. But the situation is a nightmare. Looking at the tents and the wagon, he realizes he is playing a part in some kind of evil scheme. This is not the hero story he wanted, and he is stuck being a low-level grunt for criminals. Kai starts sweating bullets, because he knows every villain in this game is destined to meet a very grim end. He walks over to a covered wagon and hears a faint, rattling sound coming from the back. His heart is pounding as he approaches the vehicle, and wonders what he is going to find inside. He peers through the iron bars, and his heart sinks when he sees people trapped inside like animals. He is horrified to realize he is guarding actual prisoners. And this whole thing just got very real. A chilling realization hits him that villains never get a happy ending. Meaning he's doomed unless he can change the script. Kai is freaking out internally, wondering what he should do to fix this mess. Right now he needs a plan to escape this group and avoid becoming a target for the heroes of this world. He decides that the first things he needs are some money and a map to navigate this dangerous forest. He starts searching through the supplies, hoping to find something that can help him get away. He manages to find a map and carefully unrolls it to check his current location in KDF Forest. He figures that stealing from these bad people probably won't bring him bad luck, and it is his only hope. He studies the map and realizes his knowledge of the game world might actually help him escape without getting caught. Kai picks up a lantern and heads back to the cage to get a better look at the people inside. He is nervous, but he knows he has to see who they are if he is going to help them. The light from his lantern reveals 3 girls huddled together in the back of the dark wagon. They look tired and scared, and they are wearing ragged clothes that show how badly they have been treated. These are the same girls from his dream. They look completely broken and terrified of what might happen next. The girl with the red hair looks up at him with teary eyes and asks if they are actually going to escape. She sounds desperate and hopeful at the same time, but she is also very wary of him. She suddenly gets angry and shouts at Kai, saying she knows he's just trying to trick them. She is done being lied to and does not trust him at all, because he is one of the guys who captured them. The white-haired girl demands to know why they should believe him. After everything they've suffered at the hands of these bandits, Kai is caught off guard and looks incredibly nervous as he tries to find the right words to say. He knows he has to convince them he is on their side, or they will never follow him out of here. The redhead scoffs and tells him that it is a shame. His little plan to trick them did not work out. As expected, she is glaring at him with pure hatred, thinking he is just another scumbag bandit. Kai suddenly lowers his head deeply and apologizes for the rescue being delayed for so long. He tells them it took quite a while for him to successfully infiltrate the enemy ranks. To find them, the girls are stunned into silence, unable to process the idea that a lowly bandit grunt is actually a secret hero. Coming to their rescue, he doubles down on the lie, claiming his real identity is that of a professional intelligence officer and a master spy. Kai knows he has just built a mountain of lies from start to finish, but winning their trust is his only priority right now. He tries his best to maintain a serious expression, hoping they do not notice. He is actually sweating bullets from the pressure. The girls reveal the tragic reason they have not tried to escape, explaining that the redhead's legs are useless, and the silver-haired girl is completely blind. Seeing Rami in such a frail state breaks his heart, as he realizes she is wasting away from a terrible illness. The poor girl is barely holding on and needs help before it is too late. They are paralyzed by the fear that even if they manage to sneak out, they would not get very far on their own. In their minds, an escape attempt is just a slower way to die alone. Like dogs in the dirt, the girls look at Kai and tell him that just knowing he is not an enemy is actually enough for them. They thank him with tears in their eyes for being kind to them, even if they can't run away. Even though he is terrified of the situation, he suppresses his own fear to keep a calm face for the girls. He realizes he cannot afford to look weak when they are relying on him for their lives. Kai refuses to let them wallow in despair, clenching his fists as he decides he is going to save every single one of them. Kai tells them that staying here and rotting is way worse than trying to escape into the woods. He looks at the redhead and says if she cannot walk, then he will just have to carry her himself. The girls look up at him in total shock, unable to believe that he is willing to go that far to help them. They are stunned by his bravery and his willingness to risk his life for strangers like them. He assures them that he has a map and knows this entire area like the back of his hand. He is confident because of his game knowledge and tells them that everything is going to be perfectly fine. Kai tells them to hurry up and grab onto him so they can get moving before the other bandits wake up. He is taking charge of the situation and giving them the courage they need to take this chance. He hoists the little blonde girl onto his back and sweeps the redhead into his arms, finally leading them out of the camp under the cover of night. As they make their escape, Kai is shocked to discover his new body possesses a level of physical strength he never had in his previous life. He is relieved to see there is no sign of pursuit, allowing them to put some much-needed distance between themselves and the bandits. Looking at the map, he is stunned to see the city of Aldi, which is the exact name he gave his custom city during his original game playthrough. He is stunned by the realization and looks incredibly focused as he processes what this means for their future. If he has all his game knowledge, then they have a real chance of wreaking safety. With his path finally clear, he carries the girls deeper into the woods, heading toward the only place he knows will be safe. He realizes his old game data has somehow been integrated into this world, giving him a massive advantage in navigating the terrain. Everything finally makes sense as he realizes his secret knowledge of the world is the ultimate key to their survival. He stops doubting his place here and starts focusing on a real escape plan. He pushes forward with everything he has, determined to reach his custom-made city and rewrite the tragic destinies of these girls. Kai pushes forward through the dense forest, carrying the girls toward the hidden sanctuary he knows is nearby. His familiarity with the terrain is proving to be a literal lifesaver. In this dark wilderness, he finally reaches the secret treehouse, a place that looks like a direct rip from his favorite game. This is the perfect spot to lay low. While they recover from their harrowing escape, our protagonist kicks off the next chapter of his wild journey. In this game world, he finally tracks down the hidden treehouse he remembers from his gaming days. Nina is completely out of breath, her face flushed with exhaustion after their desperate run through the woods. She's barely holding it together. As they reach the base of the hideout, our boy carefully places the girls on the ground near an old, weathered stone monument hidden in the trees. He needs to activate the hidden mechanism to gain access to the secure upper floor. Kai instantly recognizes the ancient symbols on the glowing tablets and prepares to use his secret knowledge to unlock the path forward. He tells the girls to just wait right there for a moment while he takes care of business. He needs a little space to focus on the magic required to open the path. He channels his mana, focusing on the specific keyword that acted as the password in the game world. He wonders if the system will respond exactly as it did back in his past life. He unleashes his mana to activate the secret password he memorized from the original game. A massive magical seal glows brightly, proving his gamer knowledge is the ultimate cheat code. The door to the treehouse slowly creaks open, and Kai lets out a sigh of relief when he sees it work. He didn't think it would actually be here, but his gamble paid off big time. He steps inside the dusty room, noting that it is definitely showing its age after being abandoned for so long. It is not exactly a luxury hotel, but it will have to do for tonight. Ramai is still unconscious in his arms, her body limp and cold as she struggles to recover from the ordeal. He needs to find something in his inventory to help her before things get worse. The red-haired girl looks up at him with wide eyes, questioning if he's really just some low-level agent. He is clearly capable of things that go far beyond what a normal spy can do. Nina is absolutely amazed that he was able to find a fully built treehouse hidden in such a remote area. She's starting to realize that their savior is anything but ordinary. He gets everyone settled inside the dusty cabin, ignoring their questions as he focuses on their survival. The space is small and cramped, but it offers the first real protection they have had in days. Ramai looks like she is in a lot of pain, her face pale as she groans in her sleep. Our boy knows he has to act fast if he wants to save her from permanent damage. He starts frantically searching his memory, hoping he left some useful items behind in a game version of his stash. He is praying that some of those high-level healing supplies actually transferred over. The red-haired girl asks if there is any food around, since they are all starving. So he starts rummaging through his stash to see if he has anything edible. He finds a stash of glowing potions and feels a wave of relief wash over him. The game's inventory system is still fully operational, and it is stocked with exactly what they need. He pulls out a bottle of medicine for them, but the girls are immediately skeptical and tell him not to joke around, since ordinary herbs won't help with this level of exhaustion. Our red-haired girl is completely taken aback by the strange, vibrant color of the potion. She has never seen anything like it in her life, and is hesitant to trust something so alien. He tells her that this is no ordinary medicine, so it should definitely be enough to get them back on their feet. He is tired of their constant doubts and just wants them to trust him. The red-haired girl is completely stunned by the potion's unnatural glow, and can't help but point out how bizarre and alien it looks. He explains that his habit of being a total completionist pays off, since he refused to keep anything but the absolute best gear in his inventory. This legendary elixir is a total cheat code that restores health and mana instantly, while curing even the most toxic magical poisons in existence. Looking at his stash, he realizes he has 17 of these high-tier potions left, and won't ever have to worry about cash. Based on how hard the girls are tripping, these things are worth a literal fortune on the open market. The girls can't believe their eyes when he hands over such rare items. Like they're nothing. The red-haired girl is especially suspicious, wondering how a simple intelligence agent could possibly have access to such legendary treasures. He just looks at her with a tired expression, clearly not in the mood to give her a detailed biography. He has more important things to worry about than explaining his past. He tells her it is better for everyone if she just keeps her questions to herself. For now, he hands her the bottle, hoping the healing kicks in fast so they can get the heck out of there. He urges her to take the medicine, already wanting to see her recover so they can get moving again. He doesn't have all night to wait for her to make up her mind. He admits that he mainly wants them to drink it, because he is sick of carrying them around the woods. It is a total pain for him to lug 3 people across the countryside. On his own, Nina asks with a shaky voice if this is truly the legendary elixir she has heard about in myths. The idea that something so rare could actually exist right in front of her is mind-blowing. He confirms that it is the real deal, and hands it over to her without a second thought. He has plenty of these in stock, so he isn't too worried about losing 1 or 2. Nina is completely speechless, staring at the bottle like it is the most beautiful thing she has ever seen. She's finally starting to believe that they might actually survive this nightmare. He turns back to Ramai and tells her it is her turn to drink up and feel better. He gently helps her sit up so she can take the medicine without choking on it. Ramai drinks the elixir, and her eyes go wide as she feels the magic coursing through her body. It is an instant surge of energy that washes away all the pain and exhaustion in a single moment. She takes a deep breath as the healing magic stabilizes her condition and brings the color back to her face. The potent medicine surges through her body and washes away every bit of pain and fatigue she was feeling just a few moments ago. She wakes up fully refreshed and looks at him with a mix of surprise and gratitude. She feels like a completely different person compared to how she felt just a few minutes ago. He tells them all to just rest for now, because even legendary magic can't fix the mental toll of their escape. They have been through a lot, and a good night's sleep is the only way to truly recover. He takes a moment to look at the girls, wondering what he has gotten himself into by saving them. They are clearly high-valued targets, and things are only going to get more complicated from here. The healing magic works a literal miracle, completely revitalizing the girls and bringing them back from the brink of death. Kai starts thinking about his future, wondering what kind of greedy reward he should ask for once they are safe. He is not doing this out of the goodness of his heart after all. Nina is sobbing because her eyesight has finally been restored, after she thought she was blind for life. The red-haired girl is just as emotional, realizing she can actually walk on her own again. Our boy feels a twinge of guilt, seeing how much they have suffered from their various illnesses and injuries. He realizes that for them, this medicine is a literal miracle sent from the gods. He asks if they were actually kidnapped from a city as distant as Oldie. Trying to gauge the distance, he is shocked that their captors managed to drag them so far from home. He realizes that they are at least 2 full towns away from their destination, making the journey back very risky. It is going to take a long time to get them through enemy territory. Unnoticed, our red-haired girl is not having his complaints, telling him to go whine to his colleagues about how hard his job is. She clearly has quite a temper. Once she starts feeling healthy again, Nina looks at a map and mentions that if they could use legendary warp magic, they would have been home long ago. They clearly don't realize that Kai is hiding even more powerful abilities from them. He laughs it off when the girls make a valid point about their current situation. Despite knowing all the secrets, he still has to play it cool, while hiding his true identity from his new companions. He realizes that even with all his powerful gear, he is still just a D-rank adventurer, and has a lot of grinding ahead of him if he wants to reach the top. Nina explains the rare history of warp magic, noting that only one legendary figure has ever mastered it. Little does she know, she is sitting right across from someone and knows all the shortcuts. They spend the rest of the night poring over maps and planning their secret route back to the city. Kai listens as they talk, already calculating the best way to avoid any potential ambushes. Nina is still adjusting to her restored vision, but she tells him she feels steady and ready to move. Her pink eyes are full of determination. As she prepares for the long walk ahead, the red-haired girl stretches out her legs and gives him a quick thank you for the miraculous cure. She's still a bit prickly, but at least she's showing a tiny bit of appreciation. She snaps at him to stop calling her "Hey you," because she already told him her name earlier. She has a noble pride that is clearly hard to shake. Even after being a prisoner, Nina introduces herself formally as Nina Sage, her voice sounding much more regal now that she is healthy. She clearly comes from a very high-ranking family in the city of Oldia. She then names the sleeping blonde as Remy Traleria Halber, completing the list of high-profile nobles in their group. These aren't just some random girls Kai rescued from the woods. He quickly discovers that memorizing these long and overly complicated noble titles is going to be a total headache. He gets back to business, explaining that the real problem is getting them home without being caught again. They are being hunted by dangerous people, and they can't afford to make a single mistake. The red-haired girl looks worried again, and asks if he can at least promise to protect them if the bad guys catch up. She's looking for some kind of reassurance that they won't end up back in chains. He gives the girl a cold dose of reality by admitting that he cannot guarantee their safety if things go south. She's taken aback by his cold honesty, her eyes wide as she asks why he would say something so discouraging. Her whole sense of security just took a major hit from his blunt words. He explains that no matter how powerful an individual might be, there are simply no guarantees when it comes to a real battle. He reminds them that this isn't some digital playground anymore, and they only get one shot at living if they die here. No respawn button is waiting for them to keep everyone alive. He decides the best strategy is to avoid direct combat entirely and move as stealthily as possible to ensure they make it home. Karen is curious if our boy actually has a solid plan for their escape, or if he's just winging it. They're in a small treehouse cabin and the tension is high. After his blunt honesty earlier, he admits that she is really putting him on the spot, with that question looking a bit nervous himself. The girls look completely stunned and worried, while our hero starts to feel the pressure of their expectant gazes. Our hero breaks the news that the kidnappers are likely stalking the outskirts of Wafer Town. To catch them off guard, he hands over a map to help the group navigate safely through the enemy territory. While they have the chance, since he came from that direction, to find them, the enemy will assume they have some kind of lead there. He points out a different path on the map, suggesting they head south through the forest to secure a carriage. Karen drops a bombshell by admitting they don't have a single coin on them to pay for any transport. He casually reveals he stole some cash from some crooks earlier, so the group is actually loaded for now. He tells them they need to buy new clothes and act like big spenders to blend in at the next town. Nina looks at him with deep suspicion, wondering why he is going so far to help 3 random girls. She reminds him that he even used a super rare and precious elixir on them. Without a second thought, she reminds him that as an agent, he shouldn't even be revealing his secret identity to them like this. Our boy is starting to realize he might have said way too much while trying to be helpful. Our boy starts sweating bullets because he is absolutely terrible at lying on the fly. When people press him, he doubles down on his lie about being an agent, but starts feeling guilty about how seriously he is taking this mission. Internally, he curses his terrible acting skills as he feels his face turning a deep shade of red. He tries to play it cool by claiming he wouldn't be doing any of this without receiving specific orders from his superiors. As he turns around, he realizes the youngest girl, Ramai, has been lying there the whole time, staring at him with a blank expression. He nervously asks her how long she's been awake and why she didn't say a word while they were discussing their escape plans. Romy simply confirms she is awake, her intense gaze never leaving his face for even a single second. He takes a massive stretch to try it and shake off the awkward tension building in the room. After his failed attempt at lying, he tells the girls he is going to head down to the river to wash up and give them some privacy to get ready. Nina speaks up, mentioning she can actually use purification magic to clean everyone instantly without needing to find a river. She notes that such a spell would be incredibly useful for someone in his line of work. As an intelligence agent, Karen is genuinely impressed by his dedication, telling him he really is no ordinary man. After seeing everything he's done for them, Nina uses her magic to refresh the group, instantly clearing away all the grime and exhaustion from their kidnapping ordeal. Meanwhile, our boy takes the opportunity to have a quick dip in the river, while the girls get themselves sorted out. Once everyone is ready, they gather around one last time to finalize their route. Before the sun sets, our hero has donned a full suit of heavy, dark gray armor to stay protective for the dangerous journey ahead. He signals the group that it is finally time to get moving toward the city of Aldi. A week later, the group finally arrives at the city of Aldi, where Knight in silver armor is already shouting orders to his men. The Silver Knight is in a total frenzy, demanding his soldiers send word of their arrival to the higher-ups. Immediately our hero watches the scene from behind his visor, noticing that the local guards are clearly stressed and have their hands completely full. He leads the girls forward, and Nina informs the frantic Knight that they have successfully returned from the forest. The Knight is completely overwhelmed with relief, shouting how glad he is to see that the ladies are unharmed. Karen steps forward to thank the Knight, but makes sure to give all the credit for their survival to their mysterious armored protector. The Knight lowers his head deeply, thanking our boy from the bottom of his heart for his incredible cooperation in the rescue. He stands tall but still looks a bit dazed, clearly shocked that a random, armored traveler was the one who saved the noble girls. Nina turns to our hero with a soft expression, asking what his plans are now that they've finally reached safety. He is caught completely off guard by the question, his mind once again racing to come up with another bluff to keep his identity hidden. Karen is just as curious, wondering if he has any specific goals or destinations in mind. After finishing this escort mission, she wonders if he needs to go off and contact his superiors or report back to his agency now that the job is done. Even though he is totally faking his way through this aged persona, he tries to keep his cool. While the girls grill him about his next move, he plays the part of the busy agent, telling them he has other urgent matters to attend to, and waving off any talk of a reward for now. Internally, the mental drain of staying on constant alert for a whole week is finally starting to catch up to him, and he desperately needs some rest. Ramai doesn't say much with words, but she reaches out and firmly clings to his armored arm. She looks up at him with wide, quiet eyes, clearly not ready to say goodbye to their protector just yet. He tells the Knight that he will leave the rest of the escort duty to the local city guards. The commander bows deeply and begs for a chance to show his gratitude, but our guy just wants him to stand up and stop making a scene. He awkwardly asks if he can just head into the city now. Clearly feeling uncomfortable with all the praise, the Knight is more than happy to oblige, and tells him it is an absolute honor to welcome him into their walls. As the hero walks into the distance, the guards are left staring at his back in total disbelief. The commander is deeply impressed, thinking he just witnessed one of the most incredible men on the planet. He starts shaking as he realizes that he was actually standing in the presence of a total monster. He recognizes that the armor isn't just for show, as it is a legendary set that can only be found in a high-level dungeon. The guards are stunned when they see the pure terror written all over their leader's face. He realizes that taking down a horde of nightmare creatures without getting a single scratch is a feat reserved for the elite. Cold sweat pours down his face as he processes the sheer scale of the situation. He stands there speechless, feeling like a complete fool for letting a living legend just walk past him. He is convinced this man is a seasoned veteran of 1,000 battles, while the hero himself just lets out a massive sneeze in the distance. One of the younger guards questions why they did not at least check the guy's identification before letting him in. He suggests that letting a complete stranger walk into the city like that might be a dereliction of duty. The Knight shuts them down immediately, saying there is no way they could treat such a savior with disrespect. He reminds them that the man risked his life to save Lady Karen, Lady Nina, and Lady Ramen. The guards are stunned when he mentions the legendary elixirs that the armored man used on the girls. He tells them that the man treated those high-level medicines like common trash, proving he is operating on a completely different level of wealth and power. The guards can hardly believe that someone would just give away such expensive items like they were nothing. The guards are thrilled by the story and start celebrating the arrival of such a generous hero. The commander snaps at his men to stop goofing around and get moving. Immediately they scramble to follow his orders, knowing better than to stick around when the boss is in a bad mood. The red-headed Karen is actually the daughter of the sovereign lord, making her one of the highest-ranking nobles in the entire region. And there is Nina, a girl with a sacred lineage tied to the holy church that goes back for generations. Finally, the blonde Remy is the daughter of a powerful guild leader who controls the flow of commerce in the city. The knight can't help but marvel at how the hero spent enough wealth to build a castle on these girls and just walked away without asking for a dime. He realizes that someone with that much resources and combat skill must be a member of a secret organization. He concludes that the man is a high-ranking operative of Vertil, the most secretive group under the Emperor's direct command. This organization is feared as the Public Security Preservation Force, and he is certain they just encountered their top agent. Bro finally steps onto Aldrich Street, and it is a total trip because everything looks exactly like the game. He realizes this world isn't just a copy. It is the exact same setting he knows by heart. He can hardly believe his eyes as he wanders through the street, finding the city's vibe exactly the same as the game he played. He can even spot the massive treasure hunter's guild tower from a distance, standing tall over the rest of the city, like a landmark he knows by heart. But man wearing this full set of heavy plate armor is starting to take a serious toll on him. He is reaching his physical limit just by walking around in the heat. To make matters worse, everyone is staring at him like he is some kind of freak. Our boy really hates standing out, and this gear is doing him no favors with the locals. He accidentally scares the life out of some random guy on the street just by standing there. The poor dude looks like he saw a ghost and starts sweating bullets. He realizes that maybe coming to the city center in full combat gear was a bad idea. He thought there would be more people in armor, but he is the only one here. He realizes this gear is way too rare for this area, which explains why everyone is gawking at him. He decides he needs to find an infest before he draws a literal crowd of curious onlookers. He lets out a heavy sigh behind his helmet and starts heading toward the nearest place to rest. He just needs to get out of the public eye for a few minutes to breathe. Suddenly, someone bumps right into him with a loud thud that rattles his armor. He is so tired he barely has time to react to the impact. The young girl suddenly clings to his leg with wide, admiring eyes, making our hero feel completely overwhelmed by the sudden attention. Meanwhile, over at a massive mansion, the mood is completely different. Someone is very relieved that a certain person made it back home in one piece after a terrifying ordeal. It turns out Karen's father is a total emotional wreck and is crying buckets of tears. He is hugging her so tight she can barely breathe, acting like he lost her forever. He just won't stop sobbing while his daughter tries to get him to pull himself together. This guy is definitely a dramatic helicopter parent when it comes to his little girl. He finally starts to calm down a little, though he is still wiping away the tears. Karen just gives him a look that says she is totally used to this level of drama. Karen stands there looking completely fine and tells him to stop being so shocked. Not only is she back, but she reveals that her crippled leg is now fully healed and strong again. The father looks at a potion bottle and realizes that this is no ordinary medicine. He starts to piece together what kind of powerful person could have provided something this rare. Karen gets annoyed at her dad's constant crying and tells him to get it together since she is perfectly fine. Her father is still processing the news, looking down at the reports spread across his desk. He knows something major is happening behind the scenes of his rescue. Her father wants her to confirm if the savior really claimed to be an intelligence agent who handled the entire rescue by himself. Karen is surprised because she assumed her father was the one who sent the mystery man in the first place. She realizes now that she was completely wrong about the setup. Her father shakes his head and tells her that the man claimed to be an intelligence agent. If he was working solo, that means he is on a whole different level of skill. Her father believes the hero must be a top-tier intelligence operative, who specializes in gathering intel on criminal groups like Red Freed. He recalls the hero saying he was only acting on orders from above. It sounds like the man was just a high-ranking operative in a much larger secret machine. He understands that a true shadow agent would never want personal credit for a mission. Karen is stunned into silence as she realizes the man who saved her lives in a completely different world of secrets and danger. Her father explains that an agent career is over the moment they become famous, as staying in the shadows is their only protection. He mentions a report he received 2 days ago about the capture of the kidnappers. He points out that the kidnappers were caught on a different street, proving the hero took a massive detour just to keep Karen away from the authorities. Karen puts it together and realizes the hero must have known exactly where the criminals were hiding. He took the long way around to keep her safe while staying off the radar. Her father slams his hand on the table as everything finally clicks into place. In his mind, it all adds up perfectly. When you consider the backgrounds of these shadow agents, he finally speaks the name of a legendary organization called Verithar, which operates directly under the capital orders. This group is a specialized assassination party made up of elite hunters who are tasked with maintaining absolute order through fear. He looks like he is picturing the man in his head, realizing just how powerful he must be. This is a guy you definitely want on your side in this city. He grabs Karen by the shoulder and tells her that she must never tell anyone about him. Betraying the goodwill of a Verithar agent could end in absolute disaster for their family. The father plans to use the hero's distinctive black armor as their only lead to track him down. Within the massive city, the father is already planning their next move, because he believes they need to repay this debt properly. He knows the hero is still in the city somewhere nearby. Karen takes off immediately, determined to find the mysterious man and thank him properly for her life. Her father slumps into his chair as she rushes out, finally able to let out a sigh of relief. Now that the tension has broken, he knows the debt for saving his daughter is immeasurable, and he vows to repay it no matter how much time or effort it takes. The most powerful families in the city are all likely thinking the same thing right now as they hunt for the man in black armor. Meanwhile, our boy is back at an inn, and he is absolutely housing a massive plate of steak and eggs. The innkeeper comes over with a big laugh and asks if he is enjoying the food, since he looks like he hasn't eaten in a week. Then the innkeeper drops a bombshell and asks if he is the mysterious man in the black armor everyone is talking about. The man tells him that he recognized him right away, but notes that he is surprisingly polite compared to the usual arrogant treasure hunters. Our hero tries to act natural and says he is just a traveler from very far away. While praying, the guy stops asking awkward questions. Suddenly the door to the inn swings open, and a knight in silver armor steps inside to search the place. The knight stands there looking very official and asks the room if anyone in jet black armor has come by lately. Our boy freezes mid-sip and can't believe his luck is this bad. As his heart starts beating out of his chest, he desperately leans over and begs the innkeeper to hide him fast before the knight spots his face. The innkeeper looks a bit overwhelmed by the sudden drama and points out that they are currently at the Duke's residence. The knight isn't giving up though, and asks the question again to make sure everyone in the room heard it. Our hero is so panicked that he even promises to take the full blame for everything if they get caught by the law. The innkeeper decides to help our boy out and puts on a friendly face to deal with the knight. Our hero drops his head and hides behind the counter, while hoping the official just moves on to the next building. The innkeeper leans over and tells him to just stay quiet while he handles the official search party. It turns out the person searching for him is actually a high-ranking woman from the Treasure Hunters Guild. The innkeeper puts on his best poker face and starts telling the knight that he hasn't seen anyone matching that description. He plays it perfectly cool and tells her that no one in black armor has stepped foot in his bar. Today our boy is still hiding behind the counter and looking like he is about to faint from all the stress. The knight seems a bit disappointed, but takes the man's word for it and decides to keep searching elsewhere. As soon as she is finally gone, the innkeeper wipes the sweat from his brow and lets out a long breath of relief. He watches her disappear out the door to make sure the coast is clear before letting our hero come out of hiding. The innkeeper gives him a sympathetic look, but tells him he is in some seriously deep trouble now. Our boy realizes the magnitude of his mistake and feels like his soul is literally leaving his body. the innkeeper drops a massive bombshell that the legendary Big Three are all currently hunting for him. Our hero completely loses his mind because he has no idea how he managed to mess up this badly. The innkeeper has zero patience for the drama and slams his hand down to get our hero moving. Our hero is left staring at the floor in total despair, wondering how he managed to mess up this badly. Her sister is still worried about her and asks if her foot really doesn't hurt anymore. Karen insists she already told her the truth yesterday and promises she is feeling perfectly fine now. Karen gives her sister a heartfelt thank you for being by her side through everything. She appreciates the support so much she can't help but get a little emotional about their bond. Her sister admits she feels a little sad now that their daily recovery routine has finally come to an end. She decides to change the subject before things get a bit too sentimental for her liking. They sit together in the quiet room as the conversation turns to the mysterious man who helped Karen in the first place. Karen is convinced that the guy is intentionally trying to keep them from finding him. For some reason her sister agrees and mentions she heard the exact same thing from their father recently. The older sister understands the concern, but tells Karen there is nothing they can do now but pray that everything is settled peacefully. This just makes Karen even more frustrated, and she starts huffing about the whole situation. Her sister leans in close and notices that Karen is getting quite intense about this guy. It's pretty rare to see Karen looking so discouraged, and she starts blushing hard under her sister's gaze. The older sister starts teasing her with a knowing look on her face. Karen gets even more flustered and tries to look away, but her sister is not letting her off the hook. She laughs and tells Karen that she never said it was a bad thing to care about him so much. Karen pouts and gets super defensive as the teasing continues. Her sister notes that both Marie and Polka said he was a wonderful person too. Apparently Nina and Rami were saying similar things, and they all want to thank him and see him again as soon as possible. It turns out Nina and Rami are totally on board with the fan club and can't wait to run into him again. They are basically lining up to give him their thanks as soon as possible. Her sister laughs and claims that she is actually the one who cares about him the most. Karen gets defensive and yells at the top of her lungs that she is not worked up at all. Back at the inn, the innkeeper tells our boy that while he did nothing wrong, staying hidden is only going to make his life harder. Rumors are flying all over the city, and the search for him is getting more intense by the hour. Our boy is sweating bullets and wonders if they are actually looking for someone else. Since he has no idea where he messed up, the innkeeper points right at him and says there is no doubt he is the target because he fits the description perfectly. Our boy starts to freak out because getting caught now probably means he will never be able to step foot in the city again. The innkeeper admits that sheltering him is honestly starting to get bad for his heart. Then he reveals there's a massive 3 million ledger reward for anyone who provides info on his whereabouts. That is a literal mountain of gold coins, just waiting for anyone who decides to snitch on him. Our boy slams his hands on the table and screams, demanding to know why the innkeeper hasn't sold him out yet. For that kind of money the innkeeper just keeps cleaning and explains it is because he knows our boy is actually someone incredibly important. Our boy tries to laugh it off, but the innkeeper just gives him a thumbs up and tells him whatever he says. Realizing his time might be limited, our boy decides he will go do some sightseeing today. Just in case something happens, the innkeeper waves him off with a smile as he heads out into the city for one last look around. Before things get crazy, he thinks to himself that even if he gets kicked out of his city tomorrow, he is glad he got to enjoy this place today. He knows that even if he gets kicked out of the city tomorrow, he is just glad he got a chance to enjoy being here today. He walks through the crowded streets, trying his best to act natural and enjoy his final moments of freedom. He spots a massive clock tower and remembers that he climbed it once, back when he was still playing the game. He grumbles about the entrance fee being as expensive as ever, but he pays it anyway. He starts making his way up the long winding stairs, thinking he will just deal with the cost for the sake of the memory. He keeps climbing higher and higher into the tower as the light of the setting sun pours through the windows. When he finally reaches the top balcony, he notices someone else is already there enjoying the view. He finds a beautiful masked woman in an elegant black dress, already waiting for him at the top of the tower. He stops in his tracks, completely caught off guard by her sudden appearance at the top of the tower. The sight of such a high-level looking stranger leaves him completely speechless for a moment. He eventually manages to stutter out a nervous hello, while trying his best to keep his composure. A mysterious woman in a mask suddenly interrupts his thoughts with a polite greeting. She seems surprisingly chill for someone hiding their identity in a place like this. He starts sweating bullets, wondering if he just stumbled into a major plot event. From the original game, he tries to play it cool, while keeping his guard up against this high-level stranger. She strikes up a conversation by mentioning that the view is perfect for anyone trying to clear their head. He agrees that the sunset over the city is definitely a great place for some quiet reflection. Growing curious, he gathers his courage and asks, what brings a lady of her status to a place like this? She explains that she came here for the exact same reason he did, which was to escape her worries for a while. The tension spikes when she suddenly asks if he knows anything about a mysterious man dressed in jet black gear. He tells her that guy has definitely been the talk of the town lately, and wonders what is going on with him. She places a hand on her chest and reveals that she is actually one of the people who is currently hunting for that man. Worried that he might be a wanted criminal, he cautiously asks if that man did something terrible. She gasps and tells him heavens no, and that is not the reason he is being sought after at all. Down in the courtyard below, Guards frantically running around and asking everyone where he is, while the sisters just watch from a distance. She calmly reassures him that the black-clad man isn't being sought after for doing anything bad at all. Just then, she notices her escort has arrived at the base of the tower, and realizes it is time for her to go. She leaves him with a cryptic hint that their search for the mysterious man will likely reach a conclusion very soon. Our boy gives her a genuine smile, as he realizes he isn't actually in any trouble with the law. She tells him that she truly appreciated their pleasant conversation, and his kind concern with a graceful curtsy. The mysterious lady bids him farewell, and prepares to head back down to her carriage. He stands in the glowing light of the sunset, looking confused and wondering if he just narrowly avoided being caught by one of the big three. He watches her leave while feeling like he just dodged a massive bullet. He is left standing there, completely baffled by the weird encounter, and wondering what just happened. Karen pulls up in a carriage to finally pick up the mystery lady. Under the dark night sky, she's relieved the meeting is over, and thanks her friend for coming through. Karen reassures her friend that she isn't an afterthought at all, while grabbing her arm to pull her close. With a gentle wave and a smile, the mysterious lady prepares to step into the carriage and leave the tower behind. She seems genuinely touched by the conversation she just had. Once inside, the lady removes her mask and admits that wearing the thing was actually pretty embarrassing. Still, she tells Karen she is truly happy to see a familiar face after such a long day. She starts opening up about her evening, mentioning that she bumped into someone for the very first time at the clock tower. Her eyes sparkle a bit as she recalls the meeting. Karen listens intently, but she looks a little concerned about who this random person could possibly be. You can tell she wasn't expecting her friend to make any new acquaintances tonight. A vision of our boy in his casual traveler gear flashes through the lady's mind. He looks so kind and unassuming, standing there in the sunset light with that gentle smile on his face. She describes him as a wonderful gentleman who had a distinct scar near his eye and a rare air of composure. As soon as she mentions the scar, Karen looks like she just got hit by lightning. The lady sighs, admitting that even though they talk, she couldn't manage to get any real information out of him. She feels like she failed her mission to learn more about the local situation. She begins to worry that the man has already slipped out of the city, without any of the gate guards noticing his departure. The lady adds that her father mentioned some big movements were likely to happen very soon. She looks a bit uneasy about the looming uncertainty hanging over the city. Suddenly, everything starts to click as she connects the dots between her father's warnings and the man she just encountered. The lady describes him again, emphasizing the scar and how calm he seemed through the whole encounter. Karen is stunned, realizing the description of the scar matches someone very specific. Karen confirms that the scar was definitely on the left side, just like she thought. The mystery lady is taken aback by how serious and focused her friend has suddenly become. She realizes they made a massive mistake by letting him walk away, and immediately orders the driver to pull a U-turn and race back to the tower. She doesn't waste another second and screams at the driver to turn around and head back to that clock tower immediately. She is not about to let this chance slip through her fingers. The lady is completely baffled by Karen's sudden outburst and doesn't understand why she is panicking so much. She watches her friend with a look of pure confusion. As the carriage jerks around, Karen yells that the legendary hero they are looking for has a scar near his left eye too. She's losing it, demanding to know why this crucial detail wasn't mentioned from the start. She explains that this was a top secret between her and her father, because knowing the man's appearance would hinder his work. The more his face is known, the harder it is for him to stay undercover. This man's identity was such a high-level secret that even her own family kept her in the dark about his true appearance. The carriage comes to a sudden and screeching halt. As they arrive back at the base of the tower, they don't even wait for the driver to open the door properly. She doesn't waste a single second. As she bursts out of the carriage and sprints toward the building, she takes off running through the courtyard, her long hair trailing behind her in the wind. She is praying that our boy is still up there waiting for something. Both girls charge up the spiraling stone stairs, their hearts pounding against their chests. They are pushing themselves to the limit to catch up to the mysterious tourists. They race all the way to the top, only to find the entire place completely deserted. Their target has already vanished into thin air, leaving them staring out at the city below in total frustration. Over at the Treasure Hunter Guild, the air is thick with tension, as everyone tries to verify the latest rumors. The branch manager is losing his mind, trying to find any record of this mystery hunter. In his mountain of paperwork, he looks over a report from 3 days ago, stating that a mysterious individual in pitch black gear visited the city. All signs point to this person being affiliated with the legendary Veltal group. He remembers the legend of a warrior who took down the kidnappers and rescued the daughters of the noble houses all by himself. He's terrified that if the news of the kidnapping leaks, the city's reputation will be ruined beyond repair. Papers and documents are scattered all over the floor. As he searches for any scrap of evidence, the more he digs, the more he realizes that the theory about this hero is actually credible. The manager remembers how he strictly forbade any treasure hunters from making contact with the knight in black. However, he is secretly grateful, because our boy was the one who helped his own little daughter when she got lost in town. The knight even went as far as to carry the little girl on his shoulders until she was safe with her family. He just wants the guy to leave so he can finally have some peace. But an employee suddenly bursts in with a frantic look on her face. She gasps for breath and drops the bombshell that the person believed to be the pitch black knight is at the guild right now. The manager's eyes widen in absolute shock at the news. He stands there frozen for a second, his brain trying to process that the most dangerous man in the region just walked into his front door. This is the last thing he wanted to deal with today. A heavy silence falls over the guild hall as everyone stands frozen in anticipation of who is about to walk through the doors. Standing right in the middle of the room is our boy, fully decked out in his intimidating black armor. His presence is so overwhelming that the entire guild has gone dead silent. The manager slowly approaches him, feeling the intense pressure radiating off the mysterious warrior. He knows he has to handle this situation with extreme caution, or things could get ugly fast. He forces a nervous smile and tries to act as welcoming as possible to the legend. Standing before him, he welcomes the knight to the Oldia branch of the guild, while sweating bullets internally. Everyone else in the guild is watching from the sidelines, too scared to even whisper. The tension in the air is so thick you could cut it with a knife. As the two men face off, the manager is panicking inside, wondering why on earth this legendary fighter would bother coming to a place like this. While he struggles to keep his composure, he laughs awkwardly, trying to break the ice and find out what our boy is looking for. He asks how he can be of service to such a distinguished guest. Our boy speaks up from behind his helm, calmly stating that he is just here for a simple observation tour. He sounds remarkably relaxed, considering how much everyone is freaking out. The manager is completely caught off guard by such a mundane answer, and repeats it back in disbelief. He wasn't expecting a legendary powerhouse to just be out for a stroll. Our boy asks if an observation tour is somehow forbidden at this guild. Sounding genuinely curious, while his presence continues to overwhelm the manager quickly waves his hands and insists that it is perfectly fine for him to look around. He is doing everything in his power to stay on this guy's good side. The manager suspects this observation tour is just a cover for reconnaissance, and wonders if the knight already knows. They've been gathering intel on him. The manager finally understands that this man is on a completely different level from any hunter he's ever met before. He thinks back to the days he dreamed of joining the elite Veltal group, only to face the harsh reality that he was never good enough to be scouted. Being in the presence of a genuine elite is a humbling experience. That makes him realize his own power was never sufficient to reach those heights. Our boy then asks if it would be possible to see the branch manager's office, since he is already doing the tour. The manager looks startled, but quickly agrees to the request. He tells our boy to feel free and offers to guide the way personally, sounding much more deferential than usual. Our boy accepts the offer, ready to see the inner workings of the place. The manager leads him through the grand hall, feeling everyone's eyes burning into his back. The knight walks behind him with a heavy, steady gait that echoes through the room. The rest of the guild is stunned into silence as they watch their boss act so subservient to a total stranger. For the first time, one female hunter asks her companions what they make of this mysterious, armored guy. She's clearly shaken by the aura he was giving off. Just by standing there, the red-haired hunter suggests that maybe his plan was to crush anyone who dared to look down on him. He looks genuinely scared as he tries to figure out the knight's true intentions. The green-haired hunter realizes that if the manager hadn't stepped in with a warning, someone definitely would have tried to challenge that insane pressure. They all agree that seeing Mr. Eric act so humble and respectful is proof enough that this knight is the real deal. Nobody wants to be the one to test his patience. The knight radiates such an overwhelming aura. At its clear, he's a force of nature no one in the room could ever hope to stop. The girl is literally shaking, thinking about what would happen if a man like that actually decided to go on a rampage. She is certain he would be completely unstoppable. The red-haired hunter admits that none of them would even be a match for a single blow from a man like that. The green-haired guy smirks, realizing just how much of a gap there is between them and the true elites of the world. He seems more impressed than terrified now that the danger is passing somewhere else. The two girls are left feeling frustrated and disappointed after realizing they missed their one chance to meet the hero. Our hero finally wraps things up at the Hunters Guild and prepares to head out. The branch manager seems surprisingly grateful for his help and even asks him to come back again soon. He realizes way too late that the Treasure Hunter Association is a lot more intense and terrifying than he first imagined. He was honestly terrified that the Seekers would track him down and blow his cover, so he keeps a close eye on those holy figures and their guards. The red-haired branch manager waves him off with a cheerful grin and begs him to visit again soon. But our boy just keeps walking, glad to finally be out of there. Underneath that heavy helmet, he is sweating buckets and thinking that the Treasure Hunter Association is way more terrifying than he imagined. He starts worrying that those powerful Seekers he saw earlier might actually be onto him in his secret identity. He really believed he had picked out a location where he could just blend into the crowd without a single problem. He can't believe he's dealing with someone so polite and well-mannered. Since the branch manager was a total jerk in the original game, the sheer weight of the atmosphere in there has him shaking in his boots and wondering if he should have just stayed home. He recalls the branch manager and notes how different things are from the game, since that guy was supposed to be a total roughneck instead of this polite gentleman looking out over the city. He tries to stay positive and tells himself that the whole ordeal was at least a good learning experience. He looks down at his shadow on the dusty ground and lets out a long sigh over his current situation. It hits him that he can't exactly go around enjoying the sights. He is stuck wearing this incredibly conspicuous set of heavy plate armor. Just as he is about to move on, he hears the distinctive clatter of a carriage pulling up. Right behind him, the carriage door flies open and a girl with red pigtails leaps out, shouting at the top of her lungs that she finally found him. Our boy immediately notices the crest on the side of the carriage and realizes this belongs to the house of a powerful duke. Karen is absolutely fuming and demands to know where he's been hiding. After she spent all this time searching high and low for him, she complains that they never received any information about his location at all, and she looks genuinely stressed out by it. He tries to explain that he only asked the innkeeper to keep his presence a secret, but that only makes Karen even more frustrated. The two of them stand there in an awkward silence, while the tension between them only continues to grow. Lifia cuts him off and tells him she's sure it's just something he's not allowed to talk about anyway. Suddenly the older sister steps out of the carriage, and Karen immediately calls out to her for some backup. The older sister introduces herself with perfect grace, as Lifia Dior, all radiating the elegance of a true noble woman. She gives our boy a warm and welcoming smile that makes her intentions seem completely sincere. Lifia asks if he has some time to spare, because they want to take him back to their mansion to probably thank him for the rescue. Now he is stuck dealing with the Duke's daughters, and is terrified that even a tiny bit of disrespect could get him executed. He is worried that if he acts even slightly rude to a Duke's daughters, he might end up getting executed for his insolence. The two sisters exchange a very devious and satisfied look, making it clear they have a lot more planned for him than just a simple thank you. Lifia gently places a hand on his arm and tells him that he should at least let them show their gratitude. She sweetens the deal by mentioning that they have already prepared a very comfortable carriage just for his trip to the mansion. Our boy looks completely defeated and realizes that his plans for a quiet day have officially been thrown out the window. The sisters look incredibly smug as they see their plan to bring him back with them is working perfectly. As they settle into the carriage, he starts to feel less like an honored guest and a lot more like a prisoner being taken into custody. Lifia explains that it would be a huge failure on their part if they couldn't show some results. After searching for him for so long, he still has no clue why these powerful girls are paying so much attention to a random guy in armor. Karen snaps at him to drop the formal act, since it's getting on her nerves, and she'd much rather talk to him like an old friend. He takes the opportunity to finally ask what it was they actually wanted to talk to him about in the first place. Karen gets blunt and brings up the moment he saved them, specifically focusing on the items he used. She asks him point blank if those were actually legendary elixirs that he used to heal them during the rescue. He suddenly starts to sweat, because he knows exactly how much trouble those elixirs would cause if the wrong people found out he had them. The question catches him completely off guard, and he is left totally speechless for a moment. The girls suddenly drop a heavy question that leaves him stunned and unable to find the right words, as their intense gazes bore right into him. They ask him if he is truly okay with carrying such a heavy burden alone, because they genuinely want to help him out. Lifia pushes him to explain the real story behind his actions, while he panics internally, trying to figure out how to convince them he is fine. He wonders how on earth he is supposed to convince these two that he isn't suffering at all, and stop them from turning him into some kind of tragic hero. He finally speaks up and tells them that he has no regrets, because seeing their legs fully healed is more than enough of a reward for him. His selfless answer hits the sisters right in the heart, and they look at him like he is some kind of legendary saint. The sisters are left speechless and can only blush as they realize how truly kind this man really is. The conversation finally lightens up as they continue their journey toward the Duke's estate. Our boy decides to make one small request before they finally arrive to meet the powerful Duke. The girls are immediately curious and ask what kind of favor he could possibly need from them. As the carriage rolls into the city, he brings up the impending meeting with their father. The Duke asks them to step in and defend him immediately if he accidentally says something rude and makes their father angry. The sisters are absolutely stunned by his refusal to take a reward for something so incredibly valuable. Karen nearly loses her mind and shouts that he is talking about the price of a legendary elixir. Like it is nothing, the carriage finally passes through the gates and enters the bustling city under a beautiful, clear sky. Our hero looks completely drained by the conversation and wonders if he just made things even more complicated for himself. The girls are still staring at him with those sharp eyes, clearly not done dissecting everything he just said. The sisters aren't buying his weak excuses for a second and continue to grill him with their sharp eyes. Our protagonist tries to stick to his humble act while staying locked behind his helmet, but he's really starting to sweat under all that metal. Karen keeps her eyes fixed on him, still looking suspicious of his humble act. Lifia gives him a knowing smile and asks if he really intends to keep that bulky armor on for the entire duration of their visit. She is clearly interested in seeing the man behind the metal. He realizes that she is right, and that it would be considered incredibly rude to meet the Duke, while fully armored up Lifey watches him with a playful smirk. Enjoying the fact that she has him in a bit of a corner, Karen calls out her sister for being so blunt and rude to their guest. But she is also looking pretty curious herself. Our boy reaches up and begins to unbuckle a heavy helmet. Finally deciding it is time to show his face, he finally gives into their curiosity and unmasks, revealing a youthful face that looks way better than anyone expected. Lifia is absolutely delighted by what she sees, and can't look away from a handsome stranger, now that his cover is blown. Even after seeing his face, Lifia thinks he is such a sincere person, because he never acts arrogant. He treats everyone with respect, even if he is hard to read. And she loves that about him. Fame usually changes people for the worse, making them think they are above everyone else. The more popular you get, the more people get jealous and start looking at you with envy. It usually leads to a toxic environment, where everyone is trying to tear each other down. Most people in his position would be flaunting their status non-stop. To anyone who listens, they'd be obsessed with power and showing off their wealth to every person they meet. But our boy is different because despite having all that power, he stays completely humble. Lifia feels like she owes him so much she can't even look him in the eye. But he never takes advantage of it. She looks at him with nothing but pure admiration in her eyes. Shikoku is starting to get a bit nervous being surrounded by all these nobles. Karen notices and immediately starts teasing him for being uncool. Despite his intimidating armor, he's actually pretty hurt by her comments and starts getting a bit teary-eyed inside that helmet. Karen snaps back and insists she isn't some ungrateful brat. Despite her attitude, little does she know, her bluntness is actually breaking Shikoku's heart. Inside his massive suit of armor, Lifia just chuckles at their little interaction. Because she knows they are getting along. She knows Shikoku is just playing along with her sister's attitude, because he understands she just wants attention. It really shows how kind he is to handle her bratty side with such patience and grace. Being the daughter of a duke means Karen usually deals with stuffy nobles who only care about social standing. Most people don't have time for her because of her age or her disability, so they just ignore her due to the significant age gap and the fact that most attendees are just looking for a marriage partner. The other nobles never made any time for Karen. Seeing him humor her sister like this makes Lifia feel happier than anything else in the world. Lifia can't stop thinking about how much he's done for them, like bringing that legendary panacea. He only agreed to ride inside the carriage out of consideration for her father's reputation, showing just how thoughtful he is. He even brought a legendary panacea to heal Karen's legs, which is a miracle Lifia has been searching for years. That medicine is so rare it could literally buy a whole castle and cure any disease on the planet. Yet he tried to act like it was nothing, and only asked her to step in if her dad got mad at him. She wonders if there is anyone else in this world with such an amazing and selfless character. Her heart starts racing just being near him, and she realizes she is falling for him way harder than she expected. Our boy notices her staring, and starts to wonder if there is something wrong with his gear or his helmet. She just gives him a sweet smile. That catches him completely off guard for a moment when she asks him what he thinks of the city view from the window. Shikoku admits it's a nice place, but that really depends on his mood at the time. She thinks he's so dedicated to his duty that he doesn't even have his own opinions anymore. She reflects on how every move he makes is so impactful to the people around him just by him taking action. The world seems to change for the better in an instant. Countless people are being helped by his strength and his quiet kindness every day. Lives are literally being saved because he chooses to step up when nobody else will. She looks at him with such intensity that it's almost overwhelming for our boy. Shikoku is just trying to stay calm and not freak out under the pressure of her gaze. Shikoku is doing his absolute best to act like a stone wall, while Karen stares him down. He's sweating bullets on the inside, praying that his helmet hides the fact that he's totally panicking. The carriage finally arrives at the massive ducal estate, which looks more like a royal palace than a normal house. Our hero reaches for the door handle and prepares himself to face the crowd waiting outside. He is greeted by a massive line of maids and the captain of the guard, all bowing down to show their respect for a hero. Shikoku is completely blindsided by the overwhelming reception and has no idea why everyone is making such a big deal. Lifea can't help but smile at his reaction. Because she knows he is the only one who doesn't realize how important he actually is. He finally sets foot on the ground and realizes he won't be escaping the spotlight for the rest of the day. They address him as Lord Shikoku, which only makes him feel more out of place than before. The head maid gives him a warm smile, as if she can tell he's a bit overwhelmed by the house. Karen looks incredibly proud to be showing off her guest to the rest of the household staff. The girls tell him they have to leave him for a bit to handle some things. Karen waves him off, telling him to have a good time with the staff while they are gone. Shikaku is left standing there, wondering what he just got himself into with this family. The head maid and the captain of the guard step up to take over and lead him toward his meeting with the Duke. The captain asks him if he would mind handing over his weapon for safekeeping while inside. Shikaku hesitates for a second, because that sword is a major part of his look. Karen quickly jumps in to assure him that no one here actually thinks he would ever try to betray them. He explains that it is just protocol, and they have to maintain vigilance against everyone for safety. The captain officially takes the sword and explains that following security protocol is mandatory for everyone entering the inner estate. The captain is completely caught off guard by the weight of the sword and realizes just how much strength it must take to wield it. Our boy casually mentions that it is not like he can't fight without it anyway. The captain is stunned by the confidence and asks if he is really sure about that claim. Shikoku remembers trying to use blades when he first arrived in this world, but quickly realized his new body just wasn't built for that kind of precision. That is exactly why he decided to focus on his fists. Instead of relying on a weapon, he felt way more confident in hand-to-hand combat than trying to master a sword properly. He found that clashing with his bare fists felt way more natural and powerful. And swinging a heavy piece of steel, the head maid tells him it is time to move on and leads him toward the hall. Our boy takes a deep breath and tries to steady his nerves before the meeting. He follows her through the luxurious hallways of the massive estate, wondering what comes next. The atmosphere becomes incredibly heavy as he finally comes face to face with a man who radiates pure power. He starts breaking out in a cold sweat because he knows there is no running away from this conversation now. This is it, the moment he has been dreading since they first got into the carriage. All he can do now is pray that everything goes smoothly. As he steps into the room for this high-stakes meeting, this insane blade stays perfectly pristine and sharp, no matter what kind of reinforced armor or solid stone it slices through. If you are willing to gamble your life on a sword this powerful, then you better be prepared for the consequences of your luck stat fluctuating wildly. Even though the knight was skeptical about the mysterious owner before, he can't deny he is holding a legendary piece of equipment. Shikaku decides he is done for the day and gives a casual wave before heading out. He slams the door shut behind him, leaving the group alone in the courtyard. A heavy silence falls over the group as they process the encounter they just had. Karen suddenly bolts toward the knights because she is not about to let that weapon leave her sight. She is absolutely starstruck and desperate to get another look at that beautiful steel. She admits she has been dying of curiosity about this blade for a long time. She gets all fired up and refuses to take no for an answer. The knight just gives a nervous laugh, while her sister sighs at how reckless Karen is being. He decides to draw the blade and show it to her. Since she is being so persistent, Karen starts analyzing the man's combat style. Based on the light armor he is wearing, he tells her to make sure she grips it firmly with both hands. Before handing it over, she carefully takes hold of the weapon, feeling the weight of the legendary blade for the first time. As soon as she takes it, she realizes the weight is completely different from what she expected, and her face goes pale. Her companions scream out in a total panic as they realize she is about to do something dangerous. Without even trying, the blade effortlessly sinks deep into the stone paving, like it is made of warm butter. Everyone freezes in total horror when they see the damage caused by a simple practice swing. The steel sliced right through the hard stone, without meeting any resistance at all. The knight and her sister are sweating bullets, wondering how she managed to do something so destructive. Karen quickly hands the sword back while looking absolutely mortified. The knight is shook because he knows those paving stones were high-grade materials that should have deflected any normal hit. He realizes that against a blade this sharp, even the thickest plate armor would be as useless as paper. He starts to sweat thinking about the rumors that Shikoku was actually a top-tier member of the Valor organization. If Shikoku claims to be even stronger when fighting barehanded, then this man is a walking natural disaster. Her sister tries to keep a polite smile on her face, even though she is dying of embarrassment inside. Later that day, they try to settle their nerves with some tea. But the atmosphere is still incredibly heavy. The sisters sit in the library in silence. As they struggle to process the chaos from earlier, the sister tries to downplay the situation. But she knows they have a lot of explaining to do. Karen looks like she wants the earth to swallow her whole. As she reflects on her behavior, she points out that their father likely didn't want them coming along, because he was busy meeting with Shikoku. She remembers how her father's expression changed just by hearing that man's voice. Their father, the Duke, always has to maintain his dignity, so his enemies don't find any weaknesses to exploit. She recalls how their father had to lower his head and show the utmost respect to Shikoku. Karen feels terrible realizing that her father had to swallow his pride and bow to that man just to keep the peace. She realizes she can't even face her parents after causing so much trouble for the family. Her sister looks at her with a knowing expression, sensing the guilt that is eating Karen alive. She tells Karen that first, they need to address the fact that she sliced through the expensive courtyard stones. She reminds Karen that those stones were chosen with extreme care, and she's going to have to explain herself. She breaks down in tears, lamenting the fact that she is nothing but a walking catastrophe for everyone around her. Her sister jokes that she might be scouted as a master swordsman, but Karen insists she wasn't even putting any muscle into her swing. Karen gets defensive immediately. Frustrated that her own strength is becoming so difficult to control, she lets out a heavy sigh as she tries to process the chaos she just caused. In the courtyard, Karen vows to turn things around and become a daughter her parents can actually be proud of. By making up for all her mistakes, she keeps thinking back to Shikoku, wondering how a person could be so overwhelmingly powerful and mysterious at the same time. Her sister steps in to give her a reality check, reminding her that they have much more important things to do than sit around feeling depressed. Karen finally manages a small smile, realizing her sister is right, and that it's time to pull herself together. Even the sister is struggling to stay composed, her hand trembling as she remembers how Shikoku tried to mask his true presence. They realize their father is willing to go to extreme lengths to thank their savior, even if it means potentially upsetting the emperor himself. The family is prepared to grant the knight absolutely anything he asks for, as a token of their sincere gratitude. Karen can't wrap her head around why a man with that much power would refuse to accept any kind of reward. Her sister laughs it off, suggesting that for someone like Shikoku, saving them was probably just another day at the office. Most people would do anything for a payday like this, as a reward from a duke is basically a cheat code for a life of luxury. The duke's influence is so massive that he could hand over entire estates, or even arrange a high-status marriage into the nobility. The older sister starts daydreaming about what kind of face is hidden behind that intimidating black helmet. She suddenly realizes she isn't the only one in the room who has developed a crush on their mysterious hero. The older sister gets competitive, worried that Karen might try to monopolize the handsome knight for herself. Karen blushes and mentions that she might tell her what he looks like, since she saw the scar. The two sisters lock eyes in a fierce stare down, neither one willing to back down from the challenge. Sparks literally fly between them as the sibling rivalry reaches a boiling point over Shikoku. They sit there in a tense standoff, the tea getting cold as they wait for the other to blink. Her sister finally admits that she is also incredibly curious about the man in the armor, but Karen is not having it, declaring that she will make sure her sister never gets near him. The older sister gets completely flustered, unable to believe how possessive her sibling is, being over someone they just met. Meanwhile, back in the drawing room, Shikoku is finally face to face with a high-ranking couple. The Duke and his wife are sweating bullets, completely intimidated by the silent pressure coming from the man sitting across from them. Shikoku just sits there radiating a terrifying red aura that makes the entire room feel like a furnace. He crosses his arms, and the sound of his metal gauntlets clashing is enough to make anyone jump. The Duke is losing his mind because he can't understand why a literal walking tank would be so considerate when his own family is the one buried in debt. The Duke realizes there is absolutely no reason for this powerhouse to be so polite. He hasn't even made a single demand, despite having all the leverage in the world. Our boy is in a position where he could ask for the moon and the stars. and they would have to give it to him. He could demand all their gold and their entire estate without breaking a sweat. The couple looks at him with pure gratitude, because they expected a much more ruthless negotiation from someone so powerful. They are convinced he is backing so massive that they couldn't even lift a finger against him. If things went south knowingly, a treasure hunter would just snatch up any reward with a greedy grin. But this guy is playing on a completely different level of class and power. The Duke realizes that if Shikoku wanted to hide his status, he shouldn't have been so impressive, because every move he makes screams that he belongs at the top of the social ladder. The couple starts to wonder if this is all just some elaborate test of their character. Even though they can't see his face, they have a better impression of him than anyone they have ever met. The couple starts sweating bullets, wondering if this warrior is testing their integrity, especially since they can't even see his face to guess what he's thinking. The Duke feels like his leadership is being judged under that silent gaze, making him wonder if the warrior is testing how he handles people of his caliber. Shikoku just sits there radiating that terrifying red aura. While the silence in the room gets heavier and heavier, he knows that sending this man home empty-handed would bring ultimate shame to his family name and spark nasty rumors across the kingdom. The Duke feels absolutely pathetic compared to the man in front of him, realizing just how much he's neglected his own responsibilities. Shikoku basically told him that since he used a legendary elixir to save his daughter, the Duke better not leave any more openings for his family to fall. Not only did our boy save the girl, but he gave the Duke a chance to fix his own weakness before they destroyed him. The Duke feels pathetic compared to the noble spirit of the man in the armor. He decides he won't just sit here feeling sorry for himself. He truly believes meeting Shikoku was a blessing sent straight from above. He leans forward and tells Shikoku that it is a matter of his own honor to give back. He practically begs him to let them make a formal proposal for a reward. Shikoku listens intently, while the Duke tries to maintain his composure during this high-stakes offer. The wife beams with a bright smile, because she is just so happy to be showing proper respect to their savior. The Duke holds up 3 fingers and explains that he wants to express his gratitude with 3 very specific rewards underneath that helmet. Our boy is actually freaking out a little bit, because he did not expect this level of intensity. He is sweating bullets while trying to stay cool and mysterious. The room is still filled with that heavy pressure, as everyone waits to see how the armored man will react to the offer. The Duke watches him like a hawk, trying to read any kind of emotion from that iron mask. They seal the deal with a firm handshake, working the start of a very powerful new alliance. Shikoku officially accepts the reward and tells them he will take what they are offering with grace. The man is actually blushing under his gear, because he feels a bit overwhelmed by how much they are giving him. The Duke breathes a sigh of relief, thinking he finally managed to give the right answer and save his family pride. He then suggests that since they have some time today, his daughters should guide Shikoku to his new property. He wants to know what the hero thinks of that idea. Shikoku nods along because he definitely needs someone to show him the way to his new villa. The Duke asks his wife to take over and lead the guests to the next room, where the girls are waiting. The Duchess takes the lead and asks their guests to follow her to the next room, where the daughters are waiting. He follows along while still processing the fact that he just got a massive upgrade in lifestyle. Shikoku gives a classy bow and heads out, finally ending the most intense meeting of the Duke's life. As soon as the door clicks shut, the Duke's professional mask completely crumbles, and he slumps back into his seat to catch his breath. The air in the room finally feels normal again, but the impact of that conversation is going to last a long time. The Duke stares into space, just trying to wrap his head around everything that just happened. He rubs his forehead and admits that Shikoku is truly an incredible man. He feels like his daughter Karen was saved by a literal legend. The Duke starts shaking as the adrenaline wears off, realizing he just survived a negotiation with a man who feels like a literal legend. The younger sister is looking at him like he is some kind of weird alien. She can't figure out why he won't take the helmet off. The girls look at the giant in armor with pure hesitation, clearly intimidated by his overwhelming presence. He realizes the sisters are only being this polite because he is still wearing his intimidating suit of armor. The older sister gives him a warm smile and tells him to just relax and make himself at home. She suddenly drops a total bombshell by asking if he thinks he should start behaving a bit better, leaving him completely baffled. The younger sister seems just as shocked by the suggestion, looking at him with a mix of concern and disbelief. In his mind, he is actually panicking, because he was almost out of money before this. He is incredibly happy with this situation, but has to play it cool underneath that scary helmet. He is actually having a mini heart attack, because a literal fortune just fell into his lap, right when he was going broke. He admits to himself that if he were alone right now, he would be doing a victory fist pump for sure. In his imagination, he is jumping for joy and celebrating his new riches. But on the outside he is still the silent and cool Lord Shikoku. The older sister is still watching him closely, wondering why he is being so quiet. She is worried that they might have offended him. She asks him again if he is truly okay with the reward they offer. She tells him he can still make more claims if he feels it is not enough. Our boy is confused about the whole backing part in the house. He is just happy to have a roof over his head and some cash. He tells them they don't have to worry about a thing, because he is more than satisfied. He is trying to be the ultimate gentleman here. He asks if they are actually okay with giving away the villa, wondering if they have some sort of sentimental attachment to the place. The older sister can't help but laugh at his concern, while the younger one looks at him like he is being way too dramatic. The older sister starts laughing and tells him they have several villas scattered all over the place. Giving one away is basically nothing to them. The younger one points out that it might not be ideal for him to live in that specific villa, all by himself. She seems concerned about his lifestyle. The older girl explains that, while the garden is a bit smaller than the main mansion, the house itself is about the same size. She is talking like it is just a cozy little cottage. Shikoku is stunned to realize the villa is actually a massive mansion. He was expecting a small house, but this is next level noble wealth. He thinks to himself that nobles are absolutely scared with how they throw money around. He imagines them shooting money guns while he just stands there. Baffled, the sisters ask him if he plans on having anyone else live there with him. They are curious if he is going to use it as some kind of secret base. Our boy keeps it simple and says he plans on living there alone for now. He thinks if it is too big, at least his private space won't be disturbed. The older sister leans in and asks the big question about romance. She wants to know if he is really going to stay single in that giant house. The older sister starts getting personal and asks if he is even interested in romance at all. They start whispering to each other, convinced that he is only single because he thinks no one is good enough to match his high status. He tries to reassure them that even if people start dropping by unexpectedly, he can handle the company just fine. The girls' eyes light up with pure excitement when they realize he is actually open to having visitors. He worries that if the house is too big, his privacy might be compromised, or even worse, it will get so lonely that ghosts will start moving in. The mood shifts as the sisters realize they have finally found a way to spend more time with him. The younger sister immediately calls dibs on visiting, proving she has no intention of letting him enjoy his peace and quiet alone. The older sister gives her approval with a smile, and it is clear his days of living a solitary life are officially over. He stands in awe of the massive estate, taking in the towering white columns and the way the sun makes the architecture glow. Inside, the lounge is just as fancy, with purple velvet sofas and gold-trimmed furniture. Every corner of this room screams wealth, and even the air feels expensive. The kitchen is absolutely decked out, with dark wood cabinets and marble countertops that go on forever. It's the kind of place where you could host a banquet for a whole army without breaking a sweat. Even the dining room is a masterpiece, featuring a long table set for a royal feast, under a massive crystal chandelier. This whole place is sparkling like it's brand new. Vivia smiles warmly at him, telling her guy not to think too much about the grandness of it all. She's being super sweet, trying to make him feel comfortable in such a crazy, high-class environment, opening the massive wooden doors. He still can't believe he's been given a magnificent house, filled with such expensive furniture. Karen looks up at the armored giant with a bit of a worried expression, sensing his hesitation. She's probably thinking that he needs to stop overthinking and just enjoy the upgrade. He walks into the massive library, which is filled from floor to ceiling with books and cozy purple seating. The guy is absolutely stunned by the sheer scale of the wealth he was just handed. He tells the sisters that even though the mansion belongs to him now, he wants them to treat the place like their own home. Our boy takes a deep breath, wondering if he feels this way because his leg just finished healing up. He is trying to keep his cool while being surrounded by two beautiful daughters of a duke. He looks down at his dark gray plate armor, which is polished and shining in the light of the mansion. It's a stark contrast to the soft and elegant surroundings of the living room. Karen throws a stubborn tantrum and insists she isn't tired, even though she clearly needs to rest. Master Shikoku is sweating under his helmet, realizing that she is acting like a total child. He is trying his best to be a mature host, but Karen is making it difficult with her attitude. Karen gets even more annoyed, shouting that she isn't a child when she catches him thinking that. Her face is getting all red from the frustration of not being taken serious. Our guy starts panicking internally, imagining what would happen if rumors spread about him overworking the Duke's beloved daughter. That would be the literal end of his peaceful life. Livia finds the whole situation hilarious. While he panics over being seen as someone who overworks a Duke's daughter, he tries to use logic, telling Karen she should probably sit on the soft sofa instead of his rock-hard armor. He thinks he is being clever by pointing out how uncomfortable he is as a chair. In his head, he thinks he has found the perfect solution to get her to move. Anyone in their right mind would choose a plush velvet sofa over cold metal plates, right? But Karen just gives him a look and says that sitting on him works just fine for her. Our boy is absolutely floored by how casually she says that, and he is left speechless. She settles onto his lap like it's the most natural thing in the world, leaving him trembling and completely caught off guard. He is sweating buckets now, looking down at her and thinking about how she is actually sitting right on top of him. This is definitely not what he expected. When he offered her a place to stay, Karen admits that her butt's probably going to hurt from hard metal, but she doesn't seem to care. Shikoku is just sitting there wishing he had suggested the sofa a lot sooner. She is so close to him that her bright red hair is completely blocking his view of Lady Livia. He is trapped in his own armor with the Duke's daughter using him as a stool. Livia teases Karen, asking if things worked out nicely for her, and Karen tries to play it cool while blushing. She claims she isn't happy about it, but her face says otherwise. Livia keeps up her mischievous grin, clearly enjoying every second of her sister's obvious plan. Karen looks up and asks why he's still wearing that heavy suit of armor when they're just trying to relax in the lounge. He peers through the narrow slit of his helmet, his eyes darting around as he searches for a way out of this conversation. He is definitely feeling the pressure of being surrounded by the sisters. Showing his face to Livia right now would be way too awkward, especially after their intense meeting at the clock tower. He's starting to feel the heat and desperately hopes they don't ask him to take his helmet off. He reaches out his armored hand, deciding to offer a bit of comfort to the high-strung girl. He gives Karen a gentle head pat, finally showing some affection after all they've been through. Karen's face turns bright red as she processes the unexpected and gentle gesture. She immediately gets flustered and screams at him to sit on the sofa before she forces him to. Desperately trying to hide how flustered she is, Livia watches the chaotic scene with a nervous smile. Seeing right through her sister's tough act, he mentions how bold the Duke was for leaving the two of them alone with him like this. Livia is surprised by his comment and asks him exactly what he means by that. He looks away, realizing that despite saving the girl, the Duke still has no idea who is actually inside the armor. Livia explains that her father has years of experience and simply saw something genuine in him right away. He continues to show her kindness, reflecting on how much their lives have changed in such a short time. Livia points out that they trust him completely because he used a rare elixir to save them. Without hesitation, Livia keeps up a polite smile while desperately trying to hide how nervous she is about the situation. Suddenly, Livia tells Karen she needs to get off Master Shikoku's lap because she is being a total nuisance. She's trying to act like the responsible older sister for once. Karen just flat out refuses, clinging to him even tighter with a determined look on her face. She's not giving up her prime seating spot for anything or anyone. Shikoku is just sitting there awkwardly while the sisters start bickering over him. He is basically a human throne at this point, and he has no idea how to handle it. Livia explains that their difficult situation is simply unavoidable, leaving Karen looking like she is about to pucker up and cry. Livia has a brief flashback of herself dancing at a ball, looking elegant and composed like a true noble woman. It's a reminder that she usually has to act perfect all the time. Shikoku remembers the two powerful women still hunting for him, and knows his peaceful days are numbered if they ever find him. Karen is completely taken aback by her sister's words, and can't help but feel a bit flustered herself. Livia totally loses her cool, and starts flailing her arms around to deny that she is acting out of character. Livia casually mentions that she is still single, because her potential suitors usually get intimidated and back out. The sisters continue to argue, while our guy stays as still as a statue, to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. Karen explains that guys fall for her big sister, embarrass themselves completely, and then claim they are too ashamed to ever show their faces again. She's really laying out all the dirty details. Livia is absolutely mortified, telling Karen that she has said more than enough. She's hiding her face in her hands, wishing her little sister would just stop talking for 5 minutes. Our guy notes that while Karen is scolding her sister, she is still sitting comfortably on his lap. He thinks she really isn't in any position to be talking about others, being embarrassing. Livia starts tapping the cushion of the sofa next to her, telling our boy that he should try sitting there instead. She's trying to get him away from Karen's clutches so she can have some space. Master Shikaku is sweating through his padding, wondering why the mood in the room just got so intense. He is caught in the middle of a sisterly tug of war. Shikoku sits frozen in the middle of the room, while the sisters continue their intense back and forth. Across the table, Karen looks at him with a suspicious glare, wondering what he is thinking about her sister. She's being very protective of her new favorite armored chair. Livia is blushing intensely, looking down at the sofa, and trying to avoid eye contact with anyone. She's clearly feeling the heat of the situation. Master Shikoku is totally lost, asking himself what that gesture with the sofa tabbing was even about. He is a master at fighting, but he is a total amateur when it comes to girls. Karen leans back and tells Livia that if she is jealous, she should just come out and say it. She's being a total brat right now, and it's hilarious. Livia tries to deny being jealous, but she looks like she is about to melt from embarrassment. She's sweating and stuttering, which only makes Karen's point more obvious. Livia begins to wonder if she is just imagining things, or if there is a real reason her suitors always run away. He tells himself that Lady Livia probably shouldn't be doing this kind of thing, given her high status. He is trying to stay grounded while two noble girls fight over him. Suddenly Shikaku is startled when he feels a soft hand resting on top of his armored gauntlet. Livia has finally made a move, and she looks very serious about it. Karen and Livia both freeze in total shock. As the weight of the situation finally hits them, Livia looks him in the eye and asks why they can't just keep talking like this. She's being incredibly bold, and she is totally ignoring Karen's stunned expression. Karen gets incredibly annoyed that her older sister is ignoring her own advice and trying to steal the spotlight. Our guy is absolutely stunned, his eyes wide behind his visor, as he hears about their plan to unmask him. He was almost caught and he didn't even know it. Livia is screaming internally. Her face is red as a tomato as she points a finger at Karen. She tells her sister that she is definitely getting punished for this. Later, Karen just settles back onto his lap with a smug look, completely unbothered by her sister's threat. She's won this round by exposing the secret plan. Livia clenches her hands in her lap as she tries to hide just how embarrassed she feels right now. Livia reaches out and places her hand over his gauntlet again, to show she is serious about staying close. Karen chirps and asking why they don't just keep the conversation going, since everyone is finally comfortable. She's acting like nothing happened. Livia finally relaxes and realizes she is actually having a wonderful time with her new friend. The three of them finally settle into a comfortable rhythm and decide to enjoy the rest of their afternoon together. She reaches out and gently squeezes his armored hand to show him how much she cares. This sweet moment of connection proves just how comfortable they have become. But their mysterious night, the younger sister is totally into the current vibe and suggests they just keep the conversation going like this forever. She clearly isn't ready to let go of this cozy arrangement just yet, not wanting to be left out. The older sister quickly agrees that she would be more than happy to stay by his side. It seems both of them are perfectly content, spending their time exactly where they are. Karen is stunned to see her elegant older sister acting so bold. As they all sit together on the sofa, the business meeting at the manor finally wraps up. As the two sisters prepare to head home, the older sister thanks him for his precious time and expresses her gratitude for the smooth visit. She offers their official family crest as a final token of gratitude. Though its complex design means it'll take a few days to get ready, they take a moment on the sofa to discuss the management of the manor. Once the deal is finalized, the knight simply acknowledges the plan, keeping his responses brief and professional. With everything settled, the older sister stands up and gives a polite bow to signal their departure. Karen flashes a bright smile and tells him to stay healthy until they eventually cross paths again. Lord Shikaku waves back, telling Karen to get home quickly so she doesn't worry her parents. The sisters finally take their leave. But Karen can't help but look back one last time as they head out. The heavy door clicks shut behind them, leaving the armored man in the silence of his manor. As the carriage pulls away down the long stone path, he stands by the entrance and watches them go. He lets out a breath and looks at his hand, finally feeling the weight of the long day. Thinking he's finally alone, our protagonist wastes no time pulling off that stuffy helmet so he can finally breathe. The carriage keeps rolling down the road, leaving the manor far behind in the distance. Inside the carriage, the sisters relax and talk about how quickly the day passed while they were together. Karen slumps a bit, admitting she really wished they could have spent a lot more time with him. Her older sister agrees, blushing as she remembers how nice it felt to be called a beauty and receives so much praise. She gets a dreamy look in her eyes, clearly still affected by the kind words the mysterious knight showered on her. Karen notices the look and gives her sister a sly look, wondering if she's falling for the guy. Karen shrugs it off, though she's clearly thinking about something else herself. She teases her sister, asking if the real goal of the visit was just to get a peek at what's under that armor. The older sister remembers her encounter at the clock tower, when she was in a real jam and needed help. She recalls the face of the young man with the gentle eyes, wondering if he really is the knight behind the mask. Looking out the window, she admits to herself that she really did want to see Lord Shikaku's face. Before they left, Karen tells her to stop pouting and promises to draw a picture of the knight for her. When they get home, she shows off a ridiculous stick figure drawing, making her sister laugh at the absurd comparison to the powerful knight. Suddenly, she spotted something moving in the distance through the back window, and her eyes go wide with surprise. She watches intently as the figure back at the manor starts to unlatch his heavy horn helmet. The helmet comes off, revealing a young man with messy hair and a face she recognizes instantly. Her heart skips a beat as she realizes her suspicions were right on the money. Our boy stands in the fresh air, looking calm and refreshed, now that he's out of a heavy suit of armor. She's completely frozen, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. As she tries to process what she just saw, Karen notices her sister's sudden silence and asks if something is wrong with the view outside. Karen gets worried, wondering why her sister is acting so strangely. All of a sudden, he looks back toward the carriage, completely unaware that his secret has just been blown. A small knowing smile finally plays on her lips as she realizes he's had them fooled this whole time. She mutters to herself about how he was teasing her right up until the very last second of their visit. Karen jumps on that, asking for confirmation that he really was the same guy. From the clock tower, the older sister looks back with a confident, dreamy expression and says she's absolutely certain it's him. She starts questioning if their meeting at the clock tower was actually just a lucky coincidence, wondering if he planned the whole thing. Her mind is racing with all the little details she missed before piecing together his true intentions. She remembers him using that precious elixir on her, knowing he probably faced a major reprimand from his bosses just to make sure her leg healed properly. He told her that seeing her leg heal properly made any trouble he got into worth it in the end. She realizes he phrased everything so perfectly, just to make sure she wouldn't feel guilt or indebted to him for the help. The more she thinks about his selflessness, the more her heart starts to race and her blush deepens. She's left wondering just how much effort he has been putting in for them behind the scenes this whole time. Back at the estate, he's finally taking a breather and realizing he desperately needs a shower after all that hard work. She's moved by the image of him working silently and diligently, all on his own for their sake. He looks so different without the armor, carrying an aura of quiet strength and kindness that is hard to ignore. She sighs to herself, thinking that he really is an incredibly cool man. For everything he has done, she's already counting down the hours wishing that the day after tomorrow would hurry up and arrive, so she can see him again. Karen catches on to the vibe, immediately teasing her sister for looking exactly like a young girl who just fell in love as they travel home. She can't stop thinking about how much he truly cares for her younger sister's well-being. As the carriage jolts over a bump, she stays lost in her thoughts, unable to shake the image of his face from her mind. Karen continues her commentary, noting that their father is someone who can't possibly match up to a man like Lord Shikaku. The sister just hums softly, her heart still thumping, as she thinks about the upcoming meeting, in which she will say. Karen realizes that even her own father doesn't stand a chance when compared to a man as impressive as Lord Shikaku. She hums to herself while her heart continues to race, completely lost in a daze, as she processes these new feelings somewhere else entirely. Her father lets out a massive sneeze, and wonders if someone is talking trash about him behind his back. The story kicks off in a peaceful-looking town, where our protagonist has been laying low for a while. But the vibes are about to shift as he prepares for a big move. Over at the local pub, the innkeeper is feeling pretty down, as he realizes his favorite guest is leaving. Having suspected this was coming, since the guy didn't even show up the night before, he just keeps wiping down the counter, trying to process the fact that his most interesting guest is officially checking out. Meanwhile, our guy is just casually talking into a fresh plate of steak and eggs, like it is a regular Tuesday. He tells the innkeeper that even though he is moving out, he is definitely coming back just for the food because it is that good. Our boy is chewing away happily while the innkeeper just watches him, feeling a mix of relief and sadness that the vibes are changing. The innkeeper smiles and says that means a lot to him, promising he will always have a spot ready whenever he decides to drop by for a meal. Werder just nods along, totally vibing with the hospitality he found in this place. It is a rare wholesome moment for the innkeeper, who has clearly grown fond of having such a legendary figure around the shop. Our guy just keeps eating, probably thinking about how this is the last bit of peace he is going to get for a while. The innkeeper looks a bit nervous though, like he is trying to wrap his head around something crazy he just heard. Our hero explains that he tried to turn down the offer multiple times, but the big shots just wouldn't take no for an answer. When it came to moving him into a massive luxury estate, the innkeeper nearly chokes when he hears that the Duke straight up handed over a whole villa, screaming that regular people don't just get gifted expensive mansions. Our boy just shrugs and says they were looking all over for him because they were desperate to show their gratitude properly. The innkeeper is still stuck on the fact that he is talking to a guy who is now technically neighbors with the elite. He is picturing the Duke as some glowing, untouchable figure while he stands there in his simple tavern clothes, feeling way out of his league. While the innkeeper is busy stressing over the Duke's status, our guy completely ruins the serious mood by ignoring the politics and just talking about the interior design. He looks up at the ceiling and casually mentions how big the place is, which just frustrates the innkeeper, who thinks he's completely missing the point of the power move. The innkeeper breaks down the fact that this setup is actually a huge deal for security, realizing the Duke sees massive value in keeping a direct line to someone so powerful. He points out that the Duke decided it was way more beneficial to have a personal connection with him, trying to get him to realize he's now a major player in the world. Our boy just stares back with those calm eyes, clearly not caring about status or political games one bit. The innkeeper looks him dead in the eye and asks what he even is, because no ordinary human acts this nonchalant about a Duke. Our hero gives him a blank look and claims he's just an ordinary guy. But the innkeeper is literally shaking, because he knows that is a complete lie. To end the conversation, our boy reaches down and thumps a heavy bag onto the wooden counter. With a loud clink, he tells the guy that he almost forgot to give him this, as a final thanks for everything he did. The innkeeper reaches out cautiously, asking what it is, while his ears pick up the very distinct sound of a lot of coins jingling inside. Our boy just closes his eyes and says it is just some cash he had lying around for the tab and everything else. The innkeeper starts panicking and waving his hands, admitting he's actually scared to take a payment from someone who was on first-name terms with high-ranking dukes. Our boy just sighs and tells him there is absolutely nothing scary about a bit of payment for honest work. He jokes that if the money is coming from a scary guy, maybe the innkeeper will feel better about taking it. But that only makes the situation feel even more intense. Our boy gets serious for a second and says he actually feels bad for putting the guy through so much crazy stuff. Lately he realizes that having to hide a wanted man from a duke is probably not what the innkeeper expected when he opened the tavern. But he's glad the man took the risk. He admits that he was honestly sweating bullets the entire time. The duke was poking around the area looking for him. Our boy looks a bit guilty, knowing his presence usually turns any quiet town into a chaotic mess of high-stakes drama. The innkeeper softens up and says he just wants to treat all his guests with respect. Our boy smiles, while admitting he's genuinely glad he chose to stay at this inn. The innkeeper gets all flustered, telling him that was just a joke and he was supposed to deny it. Instead of making it embarrassing with a compliment, our boy grabs his horn helmet off the table, ready to finally head out and see what is waiting for him in the world. The innkeeper waves him off, telling him one last time to make sure he comes back to visit. Eventually our boy slides that heavy helmet on, and promises that he definitely will, keeping the vibes friendly as he exits. As soon as the hero leaves, the innkeeper goes into full stealth mode, and dives behind the counter, to see what kind of treasure he was actually just handed. He snatches the back, and ducks behind the counter like he's hiding a secret treasure, slowly pulling it open, only to be nearly blinded by a pile of shining gold coins. He is staring at the gold like he can't believe his own eyes, wondering if he is dreaming or if our boy is actually insane. He is absolutely losing his mind, because the bag is filled with enough gold to change his entire life, making him wonder how a guy who calls himself stingy could hand over a fortune. He slumps down in disbelief, convinced that anyone who can give away this much wealth, while claiming to be ordinary, is definitely hiding a legendary identity. The story shifts to the Holy Church, one of the three great powers that rule the land from their massive, shining cathedral of authority. Inside, one of the sisters is squeezing her cheeks with both hands, looking like she is having a total internal meltdown. She looks completely dazed, with stars in her eyes, as she thinks about a certain someone who has been on her mind lately. She keeps pestering her companion, asking who they think that mysterious man really was. While her face stays beet red, the other sister just looks at her with a deadpan expression, noting that this is the 7th time she has asked that same question. To date she gets totally flustered and embarrassed. After being called out for her obvious obsession with their savior, Marie scolds her for using crude language, trying to maintain their dignity as holy sisters. While Nina is busy fangirling over a mystery man, she warns her that it would be a disaster if anyone outside the family saw her acting so unladylike, urging her to remember their position in the Holy Church. The girl just sighs and tries to look serious, though you can tell she is still totally lost in her own little world. Nina strikes a noble pose to hide her excitement, trying to act like a proper lady of the church, even though she's still in her own world. She looks like she wants to argue, but she knows her sister is right about how obvious her feelings are becoming. Marie points out that ever since Nina got her sight back, she's been trying way too hard to act prim and proper. They both realize it isn't every day they meet someone who leaves such a massive impression on their lives. Nina tries to deny it, but her sister insists that her whole personality has changed for the better since she recovered her vision. Since being cured, Nina has been shining brighter than ever, and her sister notes they have never seen her this happy or full of life. Nina stares off with a dreamy expression, thinking about how cool the jet black knight was for helping her when no one else would. She looks up with curiosity, wondering where he is now and what kind of adventures he is getting into without them. She realizes that a man handing out high-grade elixirs, like they are nothing, must be a legendary figure from the stories. The sisters keep going back and forth about the mystery man, trying to wrap their heads around the incredible gift he gave them. Nina gets lost in her thoughts again, feeling a deep sense of gratitude toward the man who changed her life forever. Nina reminds her sister that she only just got her sight back, so of course she's going to be emotional about her hero. The reality that she can finally see the world around her is still hitting her, and she feels so much gratitude toward him. Looking at the golden emblem of their order, they realize that if he can give away such rare elixirs for free, he must be the legendary Verter. Her sister warns her that if he really is that famous, she is going to have hundreds of rivals fighting for his attention. Nina imagines a massive crowd of girls swarming her hero, with hearts in their eyes, and the thought of all that competition makes her extremely jealous. Marie notices her sister's intense reaction, and teases her for getting so fired up over her hypothetical rivals. Nina starts to feel the pressure of the competition, but she's determined to be the one who stands out. If they ever meet again, their conversation is suddenly cut short when another church official enters the room and tells the ladies it is time to return to their duty. Nina enthusiastically agrees to help out, feeling more motivated than ever to work hard and prove she's worthy of her miracle. Nina marches off with a newfound sense of purpose, leaving her sister surprised by her sudden burst of energy. Marie can barely keep up with her sister's sudden excitement and tries to compose herself. As they head back to work, Marie realizes that Nina is still completely lost in her thoughts about her savior. Even as they start their walk through the halls, the sisters walk through the church together, ready to face their duties. With a renewed sense of devotion and huge smiles, they present the perfect image of holy sisters as they walk through the sunlight. Though Nina is clearly still dreaming about Elixir in her mystery night, meanwhile, the mysterious knight who started all this continues his journey, unaware of the massive impact he had on the two sisters. Marie is absolutely wiped out, slumping on a bench to catch her breath after everything that went down recently. She tries to compose herself while the sun shines down on the quiet courtyard. Suddenly our girl Karen pops up from behind a wall, catching Marie off guard while she's trying to relax. She has this curious look on her face, like she just found something interesting. Marie jumps like she's been caught doing something illegal, quickly insisting that she's just on a well-deserved break. She definitely doesn't want anyone thinking she is slacking off on her duties today. She reminds Karen that the back garden isn't exactly a public park, and she needs to follow the rules to be here. It's all about the proper steps and procedure. When you are inside the church walls, Karen just giggles and tells her to relax, sitting down right next to her like they have been besties forever. She's not worried about the rules at all and just wants to chat for a bit. The garden is peaceful and bright, but you can feel the gossip starting to brew in the air as they settle in. It is the perfect spot for a little heart-to-heart talk. Between friends they start chatting, and it turns out Karen spent the morning with Nina, while the younger sister was busy cleaning up. Nina was working hard, while Karen was just enjoying the fresh air and the company. Karen drops a bombshell by revealing she spent her morning gathering intel on the mysterious man everyone is talking about. She starts spilling the tea on the major updates she discovered while hanging out earlier. It turns out Karen was just killing time, but she has got some major updates about the man of the hour. Jet Black. She cannot help but think about how he saved them all. Karen explains that her family, the ducal house, finally sent over a formal thank you letter to Mary's parents. It is a big deal to have a noble house officially recognize a commoner for their bravery. Marie mentions how Nina has been totally obsessed, constantly begging to see their savior every single day since he saved them. The poor girl is just waiting for the moment they can meet again. It is not just Nina though, because Karen is clearly feeling the same way and can't stop thinking about him. She thinks it is like she finally found someone else to cling to besides her own sister. She remembers how she couldn't help but stay right by his side even when she was told to back off. Even when she was hurting, she didn't want to leave that dark, armored figure for a second. Just thinking about him brings a massive, silly grin to Karen's face that she cannot even hide if she tried. She is clearly lost in her own little world of admiration and gratitude. Marie starts to wonder if this jet black guy has some kind of secret, magnetic personality that just pulls everyone in. It is pretty rare for someone to leave such a huge impression on every person they meet. Karen can't help but caution, claiming this guy is seriously the most wonderful person she has ever encountered. She tells Marie that her skepticism will vanish into thin air the second they actually meet him. Marie thinks that is a pretty bold claim, but Karen insists she will understand the moment she meets him. She tells Marie that the feeling is undeniable, and she will get it right away too. Marie leans in curious if the ducal house actually rewarded him with something massive for literally saving a life. She really wants to know if they gave him the compensation he deserved. She is waiting for the juicy details, hoping they didn't lowball the guy who went above and beyond for them. A savior like that should be treated with the highest possible honor. Marie explains that her own family hasn't even decided how to thank him yet, and they are starting to get stressed. They are still trying to figure out the exact form of their thanks. The pressure is on to find a gift that doesn't make them look cheap. or ungrateful compared to a literal duke. Everything has to be perfect when dealing with someone of his caliber. She begs Karen to spill the beans on what they gave him, so Mary's family doesn't end up looking like clowns. They want to avoid offering something rude or inappropriate by mistake. Karen agrees to tell her, but only if Marie promises to keep it a total secret from everyone else. She even threatens to spill Mary's secrets if she lets this information leak out. Karen looks a bit nervous now, realizing that what she is about to say might actually sound kind of insane. She is hesitating for just a second before dropping the truth on her friend. She starts listing off the rewards. And man, the ducal house really did not hold anything back at all. They really went all out to show their appreciation for their daughter's life. The rewards from the ducal house are absolutely insane, ranging from a massive mountain of gold to their prestigious family seal. It is a total haul that proves just how much they value his help. Leaving Marie speechless, Mary's jaw practically hits the floor as she questions if that is really all they offered him for saving Karen. She looks totally confused and a bit disappointed by the list. She is thinking that after using a legendary, universal elixir to save a noble's life, even a villa seems cheap in her mind. The price of a life should be way higher than just some property. Karen quickly defends her family, explaining that it's not that they were cheap, it's just that there was no helping it. She looks a bit flustered trying to explain the situation to Marie. Marie isn't buying that excuse at all, convinced that there was definitely something more they could have done. She is not letting Karen off the hook that easily for such a small reward, but then Karen drops the real bombshell about what actually happened during their meeting with the Savior. Jet Black did not just refrain from asking for a reward. He refused to take the ones offered. Marie looks like she has just seen a ghost, unable to process that someone would actually turn down a free villa. She's thinking there is no way a person like that actually exists in the real world. Karen is dead serious, and you can see the sheer respect she has for a man who doesn't care about wealth. She is truly touched by his selfless nature and his lack of greed. She keeps gushing about how he is the most wonderful person she has ever met, repeating herself for emphasis. Marie is starting to look a bit embarrassed by how much her friend is fangirling. Even Karen's brother is feeling the pressure, realizing he can never hope to measure up to someone as selfless as him. He looks totally defeated and a bit annoyed by his own shortcomings. Apparently the brother is racking his brains, trying to come up with countermeasures for the next time they meet. He is sitting at a desk, looking totally stressed out while the mother watches him. Marie realizes that this mysterious knight is making the entire noble family question their own worth. If he doesn't prepare this much, he won't even be able to keep up in a conversation. Karen is just enjoying the chaos, happy to have found someone who finally broke the mold of a hero. She's laughing about the whole thing while Marie tries to stay serious. Marie sighs, noting that they both seem to have sisters who are saved by this absolutely unbelievable figure. It is a strange bond they share now, both owing everything to the same Dark Knight. Karen admits that he is the kind of person who makes even the highest-ranking nobles feel totally outmatched. His presence is just that overwhelming, and his character is just that strong. Karen points out that this mysterious man carries himself with such authority that even the highest nobles feel like amateurs around him. She knows Marie is deep in thought, trying to process just how special he really is. Things get serious when Marie reveals her father gave strict orders to never get on this guy's bad side, especially if he turns out to be Werder. She tries to dodge the romantic tension by pivoting back to the rewards they owe him. Marie tries to change the subject back to the rewards, still hung up on what sort of gift would be fitting. She is really trying to understand his perspective and what he might actually want from them. Karen mentions that when they talked, she got the feeling he was actually happier about the money than the seal. That is a strange detail that doesn't fit the image of a noble hero at all. Marie is completely lost now, because that makes absolutely zero sense. For a man of his incredible power, why would someone who can turn down a villa care about a few gold coins? She knows no matter how hard you work, you cannot just get a ducal house's seal like it is nothing. It represents power and status that money just cannot buy. Yet he didn't seem to care. She imagines he must come from a background even more prestigious than theirs. Marie tries to solve the puzzle of why Jet Black acts the way he does. It is like he is playing a completely different game than the rest of the world. And she is determined to figure out his secrets. Karen guesses that he probably wanted the money specifically, because it is easier to use when he is helping people. She thinks his happiness came from knowing he could do more good for those in need. Marie finds it hard to believe someone could be that much of a saint. She wonders if he is just acting, or if he truly possesses such a pure heart. She thinks about his armor and sword, realizing there is no way they could afford gear that incredible. With just cash, it is a contradiction. That only adds to the growing mysteries surrounding his true identity. Karen looks at Marie and tells her that jet black is exactly her type, which sends Marie into a total panic. Karen teases her mercilessly, while Mary tries to maintain her dignity as a holy sister. Mary is totally embarrassed, her face turning bright red, as she tries to figure out how to respond to that. She is caught between her duties and these sudden, confusing feelings about the mysterious hero. Karen is having the time of her life teasing her friend, knowing she hit the nail right on the head. She has no intention of stopping the jokes anytime soon. Karen goes in for the kill, and threatens to tell Jet Black that Marie to secretly head over heels for him. Marie's face turns bright red, as she realizes her cover is totally blown, and her peaceful life is over. The mood suddenly shifts into a dreamy haze as Marie struggles to contain her growing obsession. It is a rare moment of peace in the garden. After all the danger they face together, later Nina joins them, and the three of them walk through the gardens while talking about their favorite night. Nina is practically floating with excitement at the thought of finally meeting him again. Nina remembers how eye-catching his armor was, yet they still couldn't find any trace of him in the town. It is like he just vanished into thin air after the fight was over. Nina is determined to thank him properly for saving her life. She is not going to let him just walk away without a proper goodbye. This time Marie tells her to settle down, reminding her that they should not be worrying about him so much. She is trying to be the voice of reason while her sister is losing her mind over him. She repeats what she heard about him, wanting them to enjoy their new freedom instead of worrying. It is a beautiful sentiment, but it is not doing much to calm Nina's excitement. Karen chimes in, saying that enjoying herself is exactly what Jet Black told her to do when they last spoke. He really does seem like a guy who just wants everyone to be happy. Nina takes a moment to process that, her expression softening as she realizes how kind his words were. She is starting to see him in a whole new light after hearing about their conversation, but then they start speculating that maybe he is hiding because he went against his superior's orders to help them. If he is part of a strict organization, he might be in big trouble for what he did. Karen thinks he is too valuable for any organization to lose, considering how many achievements he probably has. He is a top-tier asset, so they would surely forgive a little bit of rebellion for a good cause. Nina clearly hopes that their hero is safe and not in any trouble. She worries that his kindness might have put a target on his back. Nina wondered how much longer the mysterious knight will even stay in town. She asks the others if they know his plans, hoping for any scrap of information. Karen says he is staying for a bit longer, but he is super busy, even turning down a dinner invite from her sister. He mentioned having unfinished business to attend to before he can leave this place for good. Nina is totally swooning, thinking about how cool he is for being a busy hero who helps everyone. Her eyes are literally glowing with admiration for the man she sees as her ultimate savior. Seeing how much Nina is into this, Karen decides to share a little secret. She leans in to whisper some valuable information about their hero. She tells Nina that our boy often has lunch at an inn called LD because he likes simple food. It is a tiny detail, but for someone like Nina, it is the most valuable information in the world. Nina repeats the name of the inn like it is a sacred mantra, her mind already racing with a new plan. She looks absolutely smitten as she thinks about what to say to him if they meet. Suddenly she stands up with a look of pure determination, catching Karen completely off guard. She is done sitting around and is ready to take some real action to find her hero. She claims she is not planning to go there right now, at least not before they have properly thanked him, but the blush on her face tells a much more interesting story about her real intentions. Before anyone can stop her, Nina sprints away to find her hero. She races toward the town with everything she has, while Karen watches her depart in total shock. Karen realizes she just accidentally sent Nina on a frantic mission, She watches her friend disappear, wondering what kind of chaos she just started. He's just taking a stroll through town in his heavy armor, humming a tune as he heads toward the local pub for some lunch. The girl inside the pub is clearly distressed, and has her hand over her heart like she is about to hyperventilate. He stops dead in his tracks, because he has no idea what kind of mess he just walked into. This girl is not playing around, as she starts grilling the poor shopkeeper for info. She is demanding he disclose everything he knows. While the dude looks like he is about to faint, the shopkeeper is absolutely terrified, and starts shouting that the person she wants usually shows up around this time. Talk about being under serious pressure. He is actually trembling because he just wanted a snack, and now he is stuck in the middle of a high-stakes interrogation. She leans in even closer and asks exactly where he usually sits. The shopkeeper is sweating bullets now, and looks like he is about to cry. The other girl is not playing games either, and continues to press the man for information, until he finally breaks. The shopkeeper finally snaps and points right at the spot, while yelling that he is right over there. He is done with his stress and just wants her to stop. She starts scanning through the menu, like she is trying to solve a mystery using pub food. The shopkeeper explains that the guy doesn't really have a regular order, and just gets whatever he is in the mood for. She immediately asks what he ate most recently. Because she wants to track his every move, he points to the menu, and tells her that he had this specific dish just yesterday. She is taking mental notes like her life depends on it. She decides to order the exact same thing, while he realizes he should probably turn around and run, while he still has the chance. Under the helmet, our protagonist is just a regular dude, who is clearly way out of his depth. He looks like he just wants to disappear into the floorboards. He reaches for the door handle, thinking he can still make a stealthy exit. Just one more step, and he is free from this chaos, but he decides to be brave and steps inside anyway, hoping things will chill out. He thinks maybe if another customer walks in, the attention will shift elsewhere. He catches a glimpse of the poor shopkeeper getting totally hassled. Our boy knows this is going to be a very long day for everyone. The guy behind the counter is waving his hands and begging. For just a moment, he is trying to keep the peace while these nuns are on a mission. Our boy is sweating even more now, under that helmet. He knows he might have just walked into a massive trap. The shopkeeper looks over and realizes his savior has finally arrived. While our hero regrets coming inside at all, he immediately turns his head, and decides he is going to pretend he did not see a single thing. Nice try, buddy, but everyone already saw you. The entire room goes dead silent as he turns his back on them, but he can feel everyone's eyes staring a hole through him. It turns out two of them are waiting there, and the one in front is blushing like crazy. She looks like she is about to explode from pure embarrassment. He hears a footstep tapping on the floor right behind him. Someone is definitely heading his way, and he cannot run away anymore. Our boy is internally screaming for the shopkeeper to help him out. He thought he came in to help the guy, but now he is the one needing rescue. The shopkeeper switches his tone real fast, and starts being super polite. He is clearly happy to pass the problem over to our armored protagonist. He asks to take his order, while the nun is basically hovering right behind him. You can practically feel the tension radiating off his metal armor. He senses a strange presence behind him, and turns around to find the girl literally hovering over his shoulder. He turns around and she is just standing there, glowing with an angelic smile. She looks way too happy to see him for a girl who was just terrifying the staff. She is wearing a bright holy symbol on her wrist that confirms she is definitely not your average nun. Her star-shaped pendant catches the light, making it obvious that she is a high-ranking member of the church. She finally reveals who she is with a hopeful blush, and he can hardly believe he is actually standing face to face with such a legendary figure. It turns out her name is Nina, and our boy is absolutely shocked. He cannot believe he is actually seeing her again. After all this time, the realization hits him like a ton of bricks. As the air around him crackles, his whole world just got rocked by this unexpected reveal. It finally clicks that he is speaking to the famous Nina, and the weight of the situation leaves him completely speechless. Nina is absolutely beaming now, and she looks so relieved that he recognized her. She is practically radiating joy from every pore. She admits that she was the one who told the shopkeeper to keep quiet earlier. She asks our protagonist to go easy on the poor guy for acting up. The other woman with the visor steps up and offers a deep apology for being out of line. Turns out they were just really desperate to find him. The shopkeeper is just happy to be alive and thanks them for their leniency. He is waving his hands around like he just survived a war zone. A boy admits that he honestly didn't recognize her at first glance. I mean, she's wearing a whole different outfit, so you can't blame him. Nina does a little pose and asks him if the new look suits her well. She is totally fishing for a compliment, and it is honestly kind of wholesome after all that drama. She looks great in the new habit, and she is clearly very proud of her new position in the order. In her fancy new clothes, she shows off the small golden charm on her wrist, which clearly means a lot to our hero. Nina is glowing now that she's finally reunited with her friend. But her companion in the back doesn't seem to share the enthusiasm at all. The warrior nun is clearly not amused and keeps a sharp eye on our hero, looking ready to pounce if he tries anything suspicious. She projects a terrifying aura while staring him down like a criminal, making it obvious she's the overprotective type. He starts feeling the heat from that intense stare and tries to play it cool by scratching his helmet. But he's clearly rattled. Nina suddenly gets right in his face with a frantic energy that catches him off guard. He desperately tries to wave her off and create some distance. Before things get even more awkward, our girl tries to lighten the mood with a cute pose and a smile. She's clearly doing her best to make sure things don't stay awkward between them. Our hero finally lets out a sigh of relief as the tension starts to fade. He's glad he managed to navigate that tricky conversation without making things even worse. The mood shifts when she mentions how many years have passed since she last saw her family. You can see the weight of her lonely past reflected in her eyes. She immediately starts apologizing for bringing up such a heavy topic and ruining the vibe. Our guy tells her to take it easy, because nobody wants to dwell on sad stories. Right now he encourages her to keep her head up and actually enjoy herself for once. There was no point in using that special medicine if she was just going to spend the night feeling miserable. Her face lights up with excitement as she realizes the best part of the evening is finally arriving. All the sadness from a moment ago completely vanishes. A cheerful waiter arrives with massive plates of steaming hot food. This guy is bringing out a feast that looks absolutely incredible. She stares at the giant meal in total awe, because she didn't expect this much food. It's finally time for her to stop talking and start eating. Even the more serious knight at the table seems impressed by the quality of the service. Everyone settles in for a much-needed break from the chaos of their journey. The conversation turns back to the food, as they realize she ordered a massive portion meant for adults. She sheepishly admits she just wanted to try eating the exact same thing as our hero. She finally opens up about the real reason she decided to drop by. Today she looks totally adorable, trying to explain herself while being all bashful. Her main man is actually surprised that people get into such specific moods for certain foods. He just rolls with it though, keeping the vibe lighthearted and friendly. He promises that he and her bodyguard will help her finish the plate, so nothing goes to waste. This kind gesture totally warms her heart, and she gives him the most sincere thank you ever. Meanwhile, her bodyguard is in the back, just trying to process the sheer amount of food they have to eat. Our armored hero is ready to get down to business and start feasting. He takes it seriously because a good meal deserves proper respect. He points out that they are on a tight schedule and should enjoy the food while it is still steaming hot. You can practically smell the steak and eggs through the screen. At this point, before they dive in, both ladies take a quick second to say grace and give thanks for the meal. It is a super wholesome moment before the absolute destruction of that steak begins. They finally take their first bites, looking a bit nervous about the flavor. The anticipation is high as they taste the result of his cooking. One bite is all it takes for them to go into total food coma mode, because it is just that good. They are absolutely glowing from how delicious every single mouthful tastes. Seeing their reactions makes our protagonist feel like a total boss. In the kitchen, he is just soaking up the positive vibes and feeling proud that his cooking skills did not let them down. Our hero slams his drink down with way too much confidence, leaving his friend totally baffled as to why he's acting so proud. The waiter asks why his drink was served so roughly, and our hero admits he was actually terrified of him the whole time. He starts thinking back to the explanation he gave earlier to smooth things over. He already took the blame for the misunderstanding, hoping the bodyguard would just drop the whole thing. Meanwhile, Lady Nina is absolutely loving the chaos and can't help but let out a little giggle. She seems totally unfazed by the awkward energy at the table. Our hero tries to convince himself that they are actually on good terms now. Despite the weird start to their friendship, the waiter isn't buying it, and complains about how secretive our hero is being regarding his high-profile connections. Suddenly the waiter's face goes pale, as the reality of the situation hits him like a ton of bricks. He quickly switches back to a formal tone, terrified of accidentally offending someone important. The bodyguard notices he just dropped his formal act and immediately calls him out on it. The waiter begs the bodyguard to ignore his little slip-up before he gets in trouble, but she keeps it professional and says she only cares if Lady Nina is happy. Nina gives a bright smile and tells him not to worry, since she is actually enjoying the casual vibe. She even encourages him to keep talking normally, just like our protagonist does. Our red-haired friend starts spiraling and begs everyone to stop, making the situation even more awkward. He simply cannot handle how chill Nina is being. While everything feels so incredibly tense, he nearly loses his mind, trying to explain that his panic is the only normal reaction to this madness. Our armored hero just sits there with a grin, making the guy feel like the only crazy person in the room. Nina tries to distract herself by focusing on her meal, but the tension makes even cutting into a steak feel like a monumental task. The clinking of her silverware against the plate is the only sound breaking the suffocating silence. She finally works up the courage to speak, even though she is clearly sweating bullets from the stress. A heavy question lingers on her lips as she prepares to break the silence once and for all. The red-haired guy decides to stop beating around the bush and turns his attention toward the night. He finally gets straight to the point and asks the one burning question that has been weighing on his mind this whole time. Nina's hand instinctively clutches her glowing pendant as her anxiety reaches a breaking point. She is clearly hiding a massive secret and wonders if now is the right time to reveal the truth. The sheer distress in her eyes says it all. As she prepares to make a desperate plea for help, she knows that speaking up now could change everything, but she has run out of options.